quick as we go into this. So this is, first of all, hello and welcome to what would be session 40 of the Pi Friends in the Frostnyrrd Saga. Just quick recap on session 39. So session 39 saw the culmination of a plan to attack a local estate being run by a slaver. The goal for the group was to free as many slaves as possible and get out without any complications. They unfortunately had a lot of complications when Ulfar decided the best thing to do in the cover of darkness was to uncover his maul, which is wreathed in continual flames, pretty much spotlighting him in the middle of the courtyard to all the archers in the tower. He was quickly dissuaded that this was not a good idea and put it out. The group started to attack the house, but then were repelled and then chased off into the night. And after a heated and dogged pursuit in which bees featured an inordinate amount of times, they managed to lose the pursuers and disappear into the woods to the south of Budir. Unfortunately, during their escape, they've become split up, and Cluck, Kassar, and Duvar are in one group, and Kretel and Ulfar are in the other group. They both decided to camp in the woods overnight and then attempt to meet up in the morning, and that will take us into session 40, which is titled Exit Strategy. And now we will just switch to...
Is everybody caught up now? Everybody remember from last week what fun we were having? Luckily it's no full moon.
Yeah, I remember.
I can have 5 toolbars. I'm going to have 5 toolbars doing all the same thing.
Oh, I should probably add that this is our first session using a new tool, so we have migrated. We have migrated. I have migrated everything into FoundryVTT, and my initial impression is it's a much better tool. Like, can't stress how good it is. You should definitely go and check it out. So it is after dark, and you are sort of somewhere in this area.
Look, you can see how good it is. Look, it's got dynamic lighting and it's got clouds.
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 All right, so I believe we were in the woods and we were going to head out west if we couldn't find them by the evening.
I thought you were going to do a long rest.
Yeah, we were going to do a long rest, weren't we? Because
yeah, and then we were going to head out west. We were going to head out west, weren't we?
Yeah, that was the ultimate. Goal. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it was when it gets too dark to see. We were going to stop and have a rest. I think it was.
Yeah, the only reason I remember that you guys were going to rest is because there was a conversation about you guys have enough people to do a watch and we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll try to take a rest. I guess.
Yeah, see how that goes for us.
Okay, I distinctly remember perception rolls already.
There were.
Because I think Kretel's was terrible.
It might have been, yeah.
Yeah.
The best way to bring.
I believe it was about a 5.
Yeah, that's the reason.
I feel like it was definitely a 20.
No, I remember it being so bad. I posted memes.
Okay.
I did the Bert and Ernie meme. So.
Okay. Let's have a look.
Got the video. I can always look it up.
No, it's okay. It was terrible. It was sufficiently terrible. Like, you could probably run him over with a steam train, and I don't think he'd notice it.
And that brings us to no, hopefully not.
Did we get?
So, Kassar.
Yeah, did you guys set up a watch and roll your?
We did. So Kassar had 3.
Okay, I've got all of it
Saga.
here. Patel was 5, Cluck and Kassar were 8 and 3 respectively, and Duval was the only one with 8.
Yes.
Except,
So
oh no, sorry, Kassar was 23, not 3. That was another check.
it's 23 because he did a survival roll first.
Yeah.
Duval, Cluck, Creton, Kazar. What was
I was gonna say it's impossible for me to get 3 in perception.
What was it?
Yeah,
There's
so,
one
yeah.
missing there. Where was Alpha?
He's not. He wasn't gonna. Cattell was gonna wait up all night
that's
while
right.
all
Yeah, he
fast
was.
act.
That's right.
So yeah, so
Okay.
there's no perception check for all far.
Okay.
My passive, I presume.
So, yeah, you will spend the night in the woods. You'll hear lots of noises. Occasionally, Cretel, you are disturbed by the sound of like what appears to be dogs way off in the distance, and either you've done a really good job of covering your trails, or like they're just searching the wrong area, but they don't seem to find you at all. So Ulfar and everybody else who took a long rest will gain the benefit of a long rest. Cretel, you will definitely gain the benefit of a short rest, and you can spend any hit dice as you may need.
Is that both groups then? That's our group as well.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And then that will
my spells.
bring us
Hey.
back round to the next morning, which is a clear and chilly -7.
Stupid question. First stupid question. Is there a long rest button?
Yes.
Yep. Top right of your character sheet under hit dice.
But I'd say make sure first of all that your D&D Beyond is up to date, because that's going to be the primary source of knowledge and the truth, the one source of the truth.
I thought we're getting rid of D&B Beyond.
No, we're getting rid of Roll20. D&D Beyond is still necessary.
Oh, okay. Why is it necessary? Surely not.
Because it's where I, both myself and Cretel own all the source manuals that we need to add stuff.
Back to full health. It's not updated in the stream.
Okay, so when we wake in the morning, I take it we're gonna head west. Was as agreed?
When you hear a familiar voice in your head.
Well, let's go with that. So it's about 7 a.m. When the sun starts to rise up over the next morning. And we'll pick up with our friends Kassar, Cluck, and Duvar.
As I wake up, I'll walk over to Duvar and Cluck and say, "Get up, my friends. We've got to get moving. No doubt they'll be out for us again this morning."
Yeah, don't want to hang around here too long.
We must head west and hope that we run into some sign of Ulfar and the other one, and Cretel.
Ulfar and the other one. Thankfully,
it's
his
all in a
harder 'cause
list at the bottom of the screen.
Oh yeah, there still is a
Literally in
list at the
front of
bottom of the
you.
screen. I used to rely on the little Roll20 names across the bottom of the screen, but now I actually do have a player list.
I still don't understand why you're the only one that's got Kazar.
Because I'm special. Maybe that's his last name too. You don't know.
We've never asked.
That's his nickname.
Kassar, he's a hell of a guy. No. Right.
I can see
Yeah,
you
we-
prepping for that bard
Likes
character. you
to
want.
eat
See,
cat pie.
No, now I've got the song of Gaston from Beauty, not Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, Beauty and the Beast in my head. Only it's about Cassar, and it's about how he can run away at the first sign of like nobody runs like Cassar. Nobody catches fire like Cassar.
Nobody takes a burn to the face like a saw. Yeah, so I'm gonna wake everyone and urge sort of that we start moving as quickly as possible west.
Rivar is of course worried about his is worried about his other colleagues. So he will say, "Do you not think we should look a little bit longer for them, just to as a counterpoint?"
If they have any sense, they'll be heading west as well. We spent a lot of time yesterday evening searching for clues of them and don't seem to be getting anywhere. And if we get caught inside these woods, it could get a bit hard for us to get out of here.
Agreed.
The more
Agreed.
time we spend in here, the longer they've got to seal off the town and seal off our escape.
No, we can chill off the town. Like we're already out of it. But yeah, I understand where you come from.
Okay,
Just get out of here.
Cassar, Cluck, and Duvar make a perception check.
Oof.
Cluck is back to form.
Chuck had a good perception session last week.
I know.
Yeah, he also spent
There we
several hours running because he couldn't lose
Oh,
the
come on,
guards.
that was a 16.
Yeah, well, he couldn't hide. He
Mhm.
was very not stealthy.
He didn't need to hide. He just needed to outrun you. I think that was his entire plan.
Mm,
Which I did.
it felt like it for a while.
Okay. Thank you. Not Cassar, Quittel and Ulfar. You've got me doing it now.
It started with Duvar because he does it often. It's not me, I promise.
Alright. As I will have been awake, I will wake up Ulfa and I will turn and say, "Can you see if you can get in contact with one of them and find out where they want us to meet?"
Sounds like a plan. Who do you think I should call?
Probably Kazar.
He's got the best chance of finding anybody else, I suppose, if he isn't already with them. Okay.
Well, he does love his woods.
He does. They don't always love him, but he does love his woods. Right. Kasa, this is Ulfar talking in your head. I am with Crotel. Do you know where the others are? Where should we meet you? We're in the Badir Woods.
So just in terms of like how long he can respond, what's the text on the spell again?
I think it's 20 words, but let me just double check.
25.
25.
Okay, so I just hear this in my head all of a sudden, do I?
Yeah.
It sounds like Ulfar, and
You've seen me do it before.
yeah, I'd still like you to make a sort of like a what should we call it?
Wisdom?
Yeah, a wisdom saving throw. Yeah, you're not off put by this at all.
Okay, I'll respond with, "Glad to hear you're safe. Head west, meet at the edge of the woods. We'll send Cluck up."
Yeah, I can't respond, so yeah, that's the end of that.
Okay. What do you do? Kretel and Ulfar.
Hey, guess what? Kasar is alive, and he's at least with Cluck. He didn't mention Duvar, because he's very helpful like that. Hopefully they're all together, but he said push out west to the edge of the forest. Meet there.
Well, that looks like what our plan is then.
Let us go.
So, Kasar, Cluck, and Duvar, as you're getting ready to set off, obviously you've heard these people, or you've heard Ulfar in your head, Kasar. Before that, you did hear the sound of faint barking on the wind.
Alright, I'll relay to Duvar and Cluck that I've had a message from Ulfar and I've told him to meet us on the west side of the woods. And I'll say I think I can hear dogs barking in the distance, so let's get a move on.
Yeah, we want them to pick up on our scent.
And I'll say once we're clear of the woods, Cluck, just fly up a little ways and see if you can see them if they're a little bit further up from us.
Yeah, we'll do.
And so we'll start heading west at pace.
Okay. So about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, will pass, and you'll both get to. Thank you. You'll both get to the edge of the woods around about the same time. So it's sort of like the day is pushing on.
Press backspace with them highlighted.
Somebody's going to lose their permissions.
You gave me a new toy to play with. What do you expect?
I'll say wait until you can tell themselves to walk in circles.
I expected you to test it on the weekend like everybody else.
I don't have time. Doing other things.
Better things to be doing.
Well, as long as you all realise there is a lower level mission than you have now that you can be demoted to if you can't control yourself. Okay.
So back to the task at hand. As we exit the woods, do we see Ulfar and Kretel?
And the other one.
No.
You don't.
All right. As we exit the woods, then I'll tell Cluck
yours
to
is on
just
guard.
fly up a short way and see if he can spot them.
Obviously, we'll be looking out for a flying clack as well at our end.
Yeah. So either he sees you or you see him. It's
Yeah.
about
Are
as
you
good a
currently
signal as we've
carrying
got.
your mole?
No, it's wrapped up.
Okay.
Um,
Please keep it that way for now.
it's fine. He's currently carrying his javelin of lightning in his shield, so he's fine. He doesn't need to get it out until he believes his god's been slighted.
Okay. So Cluck, are you going to do what Kasar has asked you?
Yeah. Sorry, I was work phone was ringing.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'll fly up.
Okay. And you will see them immediately. It's clear to you that either they've not appeared out of the woods yet, or they're not in the vicinity.
So is that I do see him or I don't see him?
You do not.
Okay. I'll just swoop back down and just tell the others that I don't see any signs of them. Yep.
We're wasting so many
Okay.
spell slots with this bloody having
Well-
to call. Where are you?
I'll say, well, hopefully they'll be here soon. This is where I told him to be.
Perhaps if we do want to spread out a bit to thin our ranks, go to ground a bit, see if we can watch from.
Can, but we risk losing each other.
We shouldn't do it if we're 20 meters apart or something like that.
Oh, 20 meters isn't going to make a whole bunch of difference, but yeah, we can do.
And what's your idea there, Duvar?
Just to spread out a little bit into if they're going to come out the woods, or if they're looking to step out where we want them, where we're kind of expecting them to be. If we spread out a bit, just to keep ourselves under cover while we wait.
Okay.
But we will also keep a very close eye on the edge of the woods, looking for them. Whether we can do that away from the woods, I don't know. What's the growth away?
So like rolling hills, clumps of trees. It's rolling grassland is the majority of the plains sort of between you and sort of in front of you.
So does Duvar Shell look like a hill?
Probably not.
Okay. Anyway. Yeah, that was the idea. If we split up a bit, 20 meters apart or whatever, and just give us a little bit more, so we're not three guys standing in the middle of it on the edge of a forest staring out of it.
Okay. So, Ulfan Cretel, you come to the edge of the woods, and sort of some distance to your sort of, well, to you, it's like if you've come out. Do you know like I'm gonna say clock ray, but that's probably too complicated, right? So you've come out. 12 o'clock is in front of you. At about 2:30, you can see on a hilltop the Kirkland estate. It's a sort of a good number of miles away from you, but because of its position on the hill, it's quite easy for you to see.
Yeah. Would I infer from that we would also, if we were travelling across open ground, be relatively easily seen from the estate? Or are we so far away that probably not? Like, can we see people walking on the wall? If we can see people walking on the wall from where we are,
the wall wasn't a walkable wall anyway, so.
Oh, okay.
We've been over this 3 or 4 times at this point.
In the watchtower, can they see people in the watchtower?
Make a perception check, Ulfar. So you can probably make out the faintest of outlines of people at the estate.
Okay, so if we walk across open ground, we would probably be seeable as people if somebody was looking.
If somebody was looking and they were particularly like concentrated, and you were doing nothing to sort of hide yourself, now like you are, so obviously the house is something that draws your eye unless you're like setting fire to things, or I don't know what colour your clothing is, but like
what I understand is it's possible for them to see us, but not particularly likely.
Yeah, and especially if you take any sort of action to sort of like try to disguise your movement. So if you say stick to the lower ground as you walk, for example, and sort of move from like shrub to tree to shrub, etc., you have no reason to think that you couldn't just sort of like sneak on by.
Okay, so we see, and I don't see any. We don't see any sign of the others.
You do not.
What do you want to do? I don't think it is smart for us to stick around for too long. I can make another mind call with Kassar, but what do you think we should do, Cretel?
I think, if anything, we should probably head south along the edge of the woods to get as far down as we can away. And if we don't happen to see him on the route down, then we'll give him a call afterwards.
Sounds like a plan. And then I suppose move west to Askerby as was planned long before.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan to me.
But if we move under the cover of the edge of the woods, hopefully we're a lot less visible.
Agreed.
Okay. Just a quick. Did anybody during your camp at all last night? Did anybody or this morning? Did anybody mean or would have eaten? Just to keep track of it. So yesterday you would have been fine because you ate at the inn before leaving.
Um,
You didn't specifically
I've
say
not
that.
eaten thus far.
I was
I
gonna
think
say,
because of my con mod, I technically have about 5 days before I hit exhaustion level 1.
Yeah. We're nowhere near like running
yeah,
out of
it's just
food. It's just
com-
you aware that I am at some point expecting you to eat during the day. I don't like, for example, ask you to look for water because it's pretty
yeah.
abundant in the area you are, but that might become an issue in future.
I'm gonna say, given that Ulfar used to live in the desert, he probably makes sure to eat. You probably a ration of jerky or some sort of dried thing on the walk out of the woods.
No,
So I'll
okay,
take a ration out.
and that's fine. Okay, so Cluck, Kassar, and Duvar, you're sort of at the woods now for, let's say, you've been quite patient. You've probably waited about half an hour, and there's been no sign.
Patient.
That I was gonna say that's more patience than I would have expected from you guys.
A question for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say 10 minutes is what I was expecting.
Okay, well, it's up to you. Between like the time you come out of the woods and half an hour, any time during that time that you feel is a reasonable amount of time to wait and see no sign of them and hear nothing from them, it has been that length of time.
Okay.
I think I'm more open to staying a little bit longer because I received the message,
Mhm.
so I know that they were okay at that point.
Perhaps.
So I'm
Go on.
I'm gonna go to one of the clumps of trees and just climb up into one of the trees to see if I can see anything. Get a bit of a better vantage point.
I'll kind of make a suggestion that move up to a remote course and make a suggestion. Maybe one of us should stick our heads out, just so one of us is around instead of all three of us, so to speak. It's just so there's somebody visible. What do you think?
Cluck will say that he he's not got his armor anymore. He's going to stay in the tree line. He draws enough of attention with his plumage.
Yeah,
So
by all
what do you
means,
think?
just by all means. Like, I'm gonna head out of the woods away, find a little clump of trees outside of the woods with a view of the tree line, and sort of sit there and see if I can find them. It'll also give me a good view of if anything's coming towards us out of the tree line.
Oh, so you're trying to find like a tree away from the woods?
Yeah, like the clumps of trees in the rolling hills, like you
Yeah,
said.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna go out to one of them and try and climb one of those trees,
Okay. So
just so I can get a better view
yeah,
of the tree line.
Cluck will stay back in the woods unless you specifically ask him to come with you.
I will do just for the sake of essentially it might need to ask him to have a bit of a saw and see if he can find anyone.
We'll stick. I don't want to separate, so we'll stick together if necessary. But I just think someone should be visible. That's all.
Well, you can stay visible outside of the clump of trees if you like.
Yeah.
I've not got a problem with it, but I'll get a better eye line from sort of 20, 30 feet up.
Hmm.
Okay.
But
So
are you gonna stay out?
Yeah, I'll stay up.
so
Okay.
you sort of set off from the woods, making a beeline for a clump of trees, probably a couple 100 feet away. And Kassar, you'll climb one, and the pine trees are sort of like they're quite easy to climb here. Like a lot of the lower branches have snapped, but there's enough of a purchase hold for you to sort of clamber your way up to the top without any issue.
Mm-hmm.
Once you do get to the top, Cluck will fly up and sort of perch beside you in a sort of like not so much showing off, but just like as if to say that
Easier for him.
yeah,
Oh,
you could have just asked me. And I'd just like you to make a perception check while you're up there. Okay. You don't see anything of particular note as the time starts to roll by. And how long is this your intention now to stay? How long?
Probably another hour or so.
Okay, perfect.
I'm gonna say. Does that sound right, Pete, to you? I think about an hour.
Yeah.
If we don't see anything, then we can start assuming worse.
Yeah. What time is it now? It's 7. It's 8:30. Is it?
Yeah. Now you have to. The clock, I cannot hide it, unfortunately. But it's abstract. You know it to be morning.
Okay. Yeah.
You
I
don't
know
you
it
don't
to
have a
be-
watch or any way to discern
Yeah.
the exact time. You're all pretty good at telling what part of the day it is, whether it's early morning, mid morning, late morning, etc.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. About what we feel is about an hour long.
Yeah,
Longer,
like you've got no issue with like waiting a period of time. It's just you can't say come out, look at the sky and go, oh, it's 3:15. Okay. Kretel and Ulfar, you continue heading south. And the manor is starting to get further and further behind you, and then you'll see that the woods will start to curve away to your left. And if your intention is to sort of like walk along the edge of the tree line or just within the tree line, you'll be forced away, and that will sort of take the manor out of view behind you.
Yeah, when it starts to curve away, we'll stop. I think that was what we were thinking, and starting make a call and then head out west. I'm guessing we don't see the others; they're not in view.
Make a perception check. You too, Kretel. Okay. So Ulfa, you will sort of spot something a couple 100 yards off, and with your roll, you think just because of the colour and its position at the top of a clump of trees, you think it might be Cluck.
I think Clerk's in that tree over there.
And now it's been pointed out to you, Kretel. You can see sort of like just a flash of red or yellow or something, something not green at the top of the tree.
Oh, it's either Cluck or something else quite bright.
Well, let's investigate. Seems a good a reason as any.
Yeah, so as you start to walk in that direction, it becomes quite obvious quite soon it is Cluck, because you will find Duvar standing sort of like semi in the open, sort of like probably about 50-60 feet away from this clump of trees. And at that point, you will all become visible to each other.
Ah, so you are alive, Duvar.
Yep. Oh, as always, unfortunately.
Good. I'm glad, my friend.
I'm
When
not
you
sure
disappeared
Duvar
into
is.
the night, I didn't think you might ever come back. Sorry, what
Here
did you
I
say, Mike?
I'd say I'm not sure Duvar is.
Um,
yeah.
right. Now we are back together, and
He's tired. That's what the problem is. The Duvar is just a bit wary of sleeping in worse. He misses his bed.
creature of comfort.
Yeah.
Now we're all back together and we've escaped our pursuers
It seems
to Askerby.
to Askerby, if we can get past.
Definitely away from here.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
climb down the tree as well, David, if I haven't already said so.
Yeah, no, I assume that once they become apparent, that you would climb down the tree and Cluck would sort of like just like swoop down.
Oh, and if I don't say so, can you assume that I'm winding the hand when I wake up every morning? As like a
Yeah, like
So
you've
they
been
can
using
use the first thing.
you've got it. You've been using it long enough that you're sort of like you're aware that you have to keep it wound.
Mhm. Yeah, I'll just do it as one of my actions when I wake up in the morning, sort of thing. Okay, we should get moving. West
Well,
and then north to Askerby.
yes, I think we should also try and work out some sort of disguises as well as we can. I imagine our our existence will not go unnoticed after yesterday's events. Plus, the Empire were already after you two anyway.
Yeah, Duval, you will distinctly remember Ulfar screaming your name at the top of his lungs.
Hey, 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 Dungeon Master! If he didn't remember, you can't remind him.
It hasn't left his memory. It's all right.
Yeah, no, there's no way he would forget that. Duval may not be the
Cream.
smartest person, but he's not an idiot.
I'll take off my my helm, and I'll also switch my cloak to the winter cloak I have.
Mhm.
I'll say done. Now I look
Yeah, I'll get rid
entirely
of
different.
the tabard and put on my winter cloak.
You're still wearing it. Um.
I said it's not going to be so hard to disguise us, but it's going to be harder to disguise you two. And I'll point at Duvar and Cluck.
Alright, I'm back for now.
David, do I think if I pull out the gubbins in the Tinker robot head, someone could wear it like a mask?
The robot from Elbencore.
Yeah. Yes.
No.
No. Okay. I'm just trying to look at what I've got. Yes, I agree with you, Kasa. But before we get to Askerby, we should probably work out some sort of heavy cloak mask sort of situation.
Actually, I've got an idea. And I'll say I don't know about Duvar, but I think I can disguise Cluck. And I'll pull out my hat of disguise and place it on his head.
It has no effect.
And here you thought he was going to turn into a maid with his own feather dust.
Well, we all know his likes now, don't we?
So it would be quite apparent to you, Kasa, that the reason it would have no effect is he wouldn't have attuned to it.
Oh yeah, that takes some time, doesn't it?
Mhm.
All right, I'll take it back and say, oh, damn.
Yeah, so Cluck, he just pulls
Well,
out this. It's not even a hat. It's like a little bonnet and puts it on your head, and then looks rather disappointed as your beak continues to protrude out of it.
Like a really terrible sorting hat.
Dear.
seeing that it's not working, I'll take it back and put it back into my pack and just sort of shrug. It's like, well, I tried.
Yes, let us hope we reach some sort of plan by the time we get to Askerby, but that should take us quite some time. Kassar, do you want to lead the way? You're better in the wilderness than most.
Sure. I mean, it's plains. It's not too bad. I think the one thing we should all discuss though is, are we going to follow the road or are we going to go off the beaten path? Because if we follow the road, we're probably going to get caught up to.
Hmm.
If we go cross country, then it might take us a little bit longer, but it'll be less chance that we'll run into anyone.
I agree. There will become a point where we probably have to travel by the road, but at least for the immediate time, I don't see any benefit.
Yes, well, the less time by the road, the less chance.
Agreed.
All right. Well, let's head west then.
Okay, so from where you are, you can see a sort of like a chain of undulating hills that will lead off approximately to your southwest, Kazar, and you being a sort of a ranger would know that if you was to head in that direction, you would be sort of protected from visible eyes from the north for a good number of miles.
Okay.
And you've been able to sort of see this while you've been up in the tree.
All right. Okay. We might have to make a bit of a detour then. If we head down those hills, and I'll point to the rolling hill formation, so we can probably make our way up the coastline and then cross over the roads once we're safe and free from Badir. It will keep us free from prying eyes.
Okay, lead the way.
All right. Unless anyone else has anything to add, I will then start walking with the rest of the group. Sort of like that, and then curve round to go up here.
Perfect. Yeah, so let's see. Yeah. So as you walk southwest, you'll see the sort of the biggest hill in the range seems to be at the end, and as you come towards it, you can see that the sort of the hills will start to roll off to the northwest, and you can follow them for about another hour. In which after which time the hills will sort of break out, and it will come into sort of like quite pleasant and open grassland. There's occasional clump of trees. Nothing more than like a small boxwood at times. And sort of off on the horizon, you can see like a number of what appear to be farmers' fields, and they seem to stretch out in front of you down to the coast.
Okay. Should we keep heading up this way then?
Yep. Sounds like a good one.
Yep, just try and find a bit of a solid bit through the field, just in case, like they've been ploughed recently, it might be a bit soft.
And Kasai, if you can just like holding X and left click, just sort of like how you intend to travel. As in that'll give you a ping icon that I can see. So obviously I can see where you are, but I mean like a sort of like a point on the map. Okay.
Can you see the line?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I was trying to do it without the line.
Oh, okay.
See?
Yep.
Everyone's just doing markers.
Everyone's doing it now. This is why people can't have nice things.
I do like that his X marks the spot. Like,
I'm surprised Andy hasn't drawn a massive penis on the map yet.
Okay. So you'll walk for several hours as you walk cross country and cutting through this rolling farmland. Now there's enough ditches and sort of access tracks that you can avoid walking through any of the fields. Now it seems to be tenant farmers in that it seems to be quite a number of different types of crops sort of sharing in the same field. And there's like the dots of little houses and stuff, and you will see people out tending to the crops, and you can attempt to avoid them, or you can just continue on, and you don't really know what to think about these people. I say they don't seem to be paying any attention to anything other than the crops, but you're obviously some distance off before you decide to walk through the fields.
We definitely shouldn't probably let Duvar go and say hello. He's a bit conspicuous.
Yeah, like you could avoid them without looking like you're avoiding them. Like they're in the field, and these tracks will sort of like wind their way through the fields.
Yeah, we'll just take the least conspicuous, furthest path from anybody that's knocking about.
Yeah, we'll avoid them.
Okay. Then it will get to sort of like late afternoon when you leave the rolling farmland, and it starts to turn into that sort of grassland and meadow again. And you can see ahead of you on the horizon the two hill ranges that the road cuts through on the way down to the town of Badir.
Yeah, I see.
See, my plan, the way I thought of it, was to head up to the road there. Oh, there. And then cut behind this hill range. And then head north from there.
Yeah, so from where you are, you think sort of another within a couple of hours, you could get to that gap in the hills that the road's been cut through, and then from there, it's pretty easy going. Like you're not noticing any real loss of speed from sort of going cross country. It's quite easy to continue at pace.
This is good land.
And we shall thrive, and we shall call it this land. I think we should call it your grave. So I will stop now.
So is everybody happy with that? Everyone's conspicuously quiet.
Yeah, no, that's
I don't want something bad to happen, and then everyone to suddenly chime in and be like, "Oh, it was your fault. Oh, I told you so."
Well, it will still be your fault, but I agree with what you said so far.
Yeah, everyone just put this on me. Yep. Put it on the ranger. There
You're
we
the
go.
ranger.
House.
You're supposed to track and lead through this kind of stuff.
Track, yeah, but forests. That's my thing. This is grass and hillland. That would be what I would suggest anyway. We cut through, you hit the road, then you go behind this hill range to obscure us from the road, head up to about here, and then we just head north from there.
Yeah, probably got some areas that are more hilly between us and Askerby, but yeah, that's probably days.
Yeah. So you've got a map of Borsk, so you're fairly confident as long as it's a good enough map that you'd be able to sort of like you can tell what's going to come up. The only thing of concern, which is probably not a concern to most of you, but with your sort of like wandering in the wilderness and you don't have a clear line of travel, there will be checks. And obviously it shouldn't be an issue for a ranger, but just so you're aware.
It won't be an issue next level. He'll suddenly magically get a lot better at tracking.
Yeah. So
I'm guessing from everybody else's silence that they're happy with it.
This is how you become better at tracking. You're going to spend 4 days trunking.
Yep. Okay.
I think we go this way.
So about another hour and a half will pass, and it will start to get dark as you hit the road that cuts through the hills. And I'd like you all to now make a perception check.
Perception.
Blam.
Okay, some very good checks, but the one standout performance is from Kassar, who, in true Ranger fashion, will start to run his hands over the road in front of you, which is like it's a dirt track essentially, and Kassar, you will be drawn to a number of things. So it looks like horses have passed this way, heading north away from the town within the last 24 hours, and you think sort of a number of horses. In fact, you know, with your role, you can see at least 5 distinct pairs of tracks. Now, you do
Okay.
also, with a 27, pick up a 6th pair of tracks, but that seems to be heading towards Badir, and it's the damnedest thing. But for some reason, you know that despite it wearing horseshoes and having hooves, that this isn't some mere horse, and there's something unusual about it. It's a bit like it's otherworldly.
Okay.
And you can discern all that from the tracks in the dying light. So, well done.
Yeah. All right. I will tell the guys that it looks like horses passed through here earlier today.
And I
looks
should
like
probably add that the horses were at speed.
yes. So I'll tell them it looks like the horses left Badir sometime today while we were out in the wilderness. They must be heading to Breckerby and Askerby to warn them of what happened. I can't imagine anything good. But something interesting went the other way. Something a bit weird and wild. I can't quite tell what it is, but it doesn't seem to be a horse. I'll point to the tracks and say this something here isn't. It's not like a horse, but it's close.
Yeah, so Gretel, they all just look like, the road looks like, like a bridle way. You can tell it's been used by horses, but they could have been like several hundred in the last hour, and you can't really discern it. Ulfar, you can kind of get, now it's been pointed out to you, like certain things. But Duvar and Cluck, you get a much better understanding with Kassar sort of talking you through it, and again you can see this trail which she's pointing out as something odd, and it just looks like another set of horseshoe prints heading south.
To sort of say to Kazar, I was like, oh yeah, I can see what you mean.
Is Kassar able to determine how many horses have travelled in either direction?
Yeah. So David said I was able to see 5 pairs going north and 1 pair going east, south,
Okay.
east.
Horses tend to have more than one pair of legs, but
When you said 5 pairs, I imagined
yeah.
5 horses is what
Yeah.
you meant, rather than
Yeah, yeah.
2.5 horses. Like,
Unless one's a minotaur.
yeah, that would be real trouble. It was like, oh shit.
it's fine. That'd be different. That'd be cloven hoof. Different kind of tracks. Trust me, I'm a ranger.
Well, whatever has come this way, I think the quicker we get off this road, the better.
Well, I think they've already sent riders, so it's very unlikely that we'll meet any more coming out of Budir. But I do agree with you that we shouldn't stick to the roads, especially not without a proper disguise for our feathered and shelled friend here.
Yes.
Stay off the beaten track.
Yeah, try and think of some sort of.
We could try to push ahead quickly and see if we can catch up to the people on horseback while they sleep, because they're not going to get the entire way before nightfall. But given the speed at which they're moving, it's very unlikely we'll be able to.
I don't like the idea of chasing horses. Seems like a fool's errand.
No more running. Everyone's done enough running.
Okay, north through the wilderness it is.
Yes. So I'll lead them around the back of the hill range, and then northwards from there.
Yeah, and how much sort of longer are you looking to travel?
We'll travel until sort of the sun starts dipping,
Okay.
and then as soon as the sun starts
So-
to dip below the horizon, we'll make a camp, and I'll try to aim for like group of trees here or something, if that's as far as we can make it.
Yeah, so as you travel, so that's going to be another.
As we come off the road as well, I'd just like to make sure that we're covering our tracks, so it doesn't look like we've walked parallel across the road.
Mhm.
Just clear the mud while we're there.
Okay. Make a survival check.
Ugh.
Yeah. So you guide them across the best as you can. You probably direct Cluck to just fly over the road, so there's no tracks from him. But you have some hard time disguising Duvar's tracks in all of that, and you kind of like you're satisfied you've done the best you can. But it's not an easy task. And you'll probably travel another 2 hours before the sun starts to really hang low in the sky.
Okay. Given we've only got a little bit of time left, I'm gonna just see if I can forage anything or hunt anything to eat for the night to cook.
Oh no, not
Never
some
come.
last cooking again.
Well, it's much harder to fuck up roasting meat than or raw stuff.
Okay, so you find somewhere that you want to make camp, and you start to break out for gear. So and then Kathar, you obviously say that you're gonna go and try and catch some dinner. Is anybody else want to do anything while this is going on?
Ulfar is going to take a dagger and cut off his bright white dreadlocks as close to the scalp as he can do without cutting himself, as a way of, because he figures he's probably the most noticeable from the other day's events, and that's probably his most noticeable feature.
And before Kazar walks off, I will actually hand him one of my ghoul claws.
What does that do?
What does that do?
You'll find.
Oh,
Okay, hang on one sec. It's more written in Beyond.
D&D Beyond.
I think it's custom, yeah.
It won't bring it all over. I will just copy paste.
Okay. Sorry, and who are you giving the dagger to again?
One to Kazar. Because I have 3 of them.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
And because it's a dagger, you can also throw it.
Yeah. So it's like the other, because I've got a couple of daggers already. They're like 2060, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so Cretel, you hand Kassar the dagger. Ulfar, you're scalping yourself. Cluck and Duvar.
Duvar's taking the white hair that Alpha's taken off and gluing it to his head.
So are you just like cutting your hair and discarding it, Ulfar?
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's sort of like taking a dreadlock at a time, like cutting it, and then just like throwing it like over his shoulder.
Okay, so it's not important to you. Okay.
No, he's not. He's not a man of what do you call it?
Uvar's meditating.
Okay. And Clock, anything that you're doing?
No, just sort of mingle around.
Okay. Kasa, make a survival check.
Ugh, that's poor.
That is pretty poor.
The open plains, there might not be a lot around.
Plenty of rats.
Sete rata.
Yeah, if only we had Wrench right now with his bucket of rats.
Okay. What's your wisdom modifier? +1. Okay. You will
+1.
find. So you don't find any animals. But you will find a couple of pounds worth of berries, which is enough to sort of like, either bulk out some rations, so you only need to eat half per pound. Sorry, per half pound, or enough to feed 2 people if you're just going to live on. So essentially, you could share them, and 2 people. Sorry, 4 people can eat half a ration, or you could just feed 2 people these berries and they don't need to consume food for the day. Now, Ulfar's already
Okay.
eaten.
Yeah, I'll come back and I'll help myself to enough berries for a ration on the walk back, and then I'll share out the rest between. So Ulfar's eaten, right? Who am I? Kratel and Cluck. Let's say I'll give them some berries each, and I'll hand some to Duvar, but not enough to form half a ration. And just say I managed to find some berries out there. I hope they're sweet.
I'll eat my berries with some of my very now old cheese.
Oh,
Uvar will thank you.
Is it like Wensleydale now with the cranberry in it?
Yeah.
It's more blue than yellow.
yeah. It's a mold ball with a core of cheese.
Got a real kick to it.
Oh,
Yeah, it
Uvar can.
doesn't seem to upset you at all, Duvar.
I'll have a ration.
Sorry, Duvar. Cluck.
I'll eat a ration.
Okay.
One of the ones I'm carrying.
So, anything else before you bed down for the camp? Then, so while Kasar's been gone, presumably one of you has at least sorted out like some sort of rudimentary shelter. I don't know if you would have lit a campfire or anything.
Yeah, we've made ourselves out of sight from the road, as it were, from where we bedded down or what have you. So I presume we probably we might have. Yeah, it's cold. We probably made a fire. I think. What do you guys
-7.
think?
-7.
Yeah.
-7. It's
Yeah,
still early spring
Yeah.
in a world that's going through an ice age. So yes, it's cold.
Yeah, so we probably not a big, probably as small as we can to give off as little smoke, but enough to keep us warm over the night.
Yeah. You're a good 2 hours away from the road, and you're pretty confident that unless somebody comes this way, that no light's gonna draw anybody this way. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, not to mention, I imagine probably in this world, a small campfire, out in the wilderness is probably not a strange occurrence. Like they're probably here and there people moving.
No, you're away from the road. That'd be a little bit strange, I imagine.
Hunter. You got your
Maybe.
hunters and things like that go out. Within.
I'd say it's not a massive risk.
No.
And Kasar's
so
the sort of ranger, so you trust him.
Yeah.
I'd say we're off the road by about an hour or two. We're far enough away that even if you could see the smoke at that distance, you probably wouldn't think too much of it. It's not too bad. We're behind some hills. Nobody can find us.
This is where we accidentally set fire to the trees that are next to us.
You're such a pessimist.
Okay.
I'll
So,
hand my Ghoul Claw as well back to Critel, by the way.
and are you
That
going to
was
be?
for you to keep. I've got another 2 of them.
Okay, I'll keep it.
Are you
You
setting
never
up a
know
watch?
when it'll come in handy.
I'll add it to my custom item.
Are you setting up a watch?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll go first.
You sure you haven't slept?
That's why I'm going first.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'll go last.
Okay,
I'll go in the middle.
that works for me. Everybody roll your perception.
Go somewhere in the middle.
God, my perceptions suck.
You're very, very tired.
Yes.
Oh, so, Critel, during your watch, you do sort of you see something in the distance, and it startles you a bit, and then you figure like for whatever reason, you rub your eyes and then look at it again, and it's gone, and you're sort of like. It's a bit unnerving, but given how tired you are and the fact that you were barely awake as it happened, it's probably nothing that you wouldn't have expected.
And I remember back to that ghost in the woods, and I refuse to do anything about it.
That's fair. So, yeah. Apart from that, time will tick by. And a new day will dawn.
We get a short rest, long rest.
You will all benefit from a long rest.
Not that we need it, but
Critel needs
I
it
did.
more than anyone.
no, yeah.
Gives me back my 1 spell slot I wasted. Used, not wasted.
Yeah. So, overnight the fire will have sort of died out at some point in the early morning, and it's probably about an hour, half an hour before the sun will start to rise. But whoever's on watch will have deemed that everybody will have slept enough to make a start on the day. Now, the weather for today has got it's still again it's mainly clear sky, but it has developed a significant chill, and it's down to -8.
Lovely.
Significant indeed.
It's for those without
is
winter
pretty-
clothing.
that is
That's
pretty
going to
cold.
start to get horrible.
I wrap my winter cloak around myself.
So I was the last one on shift, so I'll wake everyone up and tell everyone that we need to start moving. If everyone wants to get up, if you want some breakfast, have some breakfast, and then we should probably get going.
It's getting quite cold. I'll dig out my manticore wing and wrap that around me because I can use it as a blanket.
Let's get moving. Let's get warm.
Yeah, so in the world, you're kind of okay until it gets down to like, well, anything below sort of 17 degrees Celsius is into like extreme cold.
17 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, -17.
There we go.
Yeah,
That's better. Like 17 is quite pleasant.
So yeah, like it's like unpleasant, but it's not dangerous to those that don't have winter clothing. It's just damn cold and miserable.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, well if everyone's ready, we'll start heading off I'll let everyone take the sort of half an hour until it becomes light to sort themselves out, have breakfast and whatnot, and then I'll start leading them northwards.
Yeah. I'll have another ration.
As will I.
Already eaten mine.
Okay, and is your plan, Qatar, to go from like point to point?
Yeah, so I'm imagining I can see the hills ahead of me.
Mhm.
So to go around them and then head towards what I know would be the next set of hills. And if
Yep.
I run into sea, I know I've gone to the right. If I hit forest, I know I've gone to the left.
Yeah, so you're kind of using the hills as a sort of like mark on the horizon to aim for.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, and unless anybody says otherwise, I assume you're just sort of like walking along and not doing anything in particular.
Yeah, probably taking like muck and like putting it into my hair, what's left of my hair, and putting it into twists. But other than that,
Okay. Okay, so you'll make
Why
it
am I
to...
why am I now picturing Allfar with that, like, what's it when the girls do their hair and it's the two little things down either side,
pigtails.
usually for pigtails? Yeah.
I,
Now imagining like he's gone from like thick white dreadlocks to little white ponytails or little white yeah.
give me a second. I'll show you what. Chat, so you know. But yeah, go on while I'm sorting out a picture of my hair.
Okay, so it gets to about midday when you will start to like you'll arrive at the second point of hills, the second group of hills that are marked on your map. Now, this terrain is like it's like rolling grassland and plains, so it's quite easy to navigate across. But essentially, what the way the map is built, it's if it's like the scattering of trees and the dotting of like occasional hill is representative of like the wider area. So like forests and hills and things that you would draw on a map because they help you navigate are shown as is. So what I'm saying is the hills are correct. If there's like little tiny dots of hills and little clumps of trees, that's just to give you an idea of like what the terrain's like. Make sense?
Yeah. Yep.
Perfect.
So the aim is to skirt round the hills either way. And then head up north, but try and
Yeah.
skirt left of the mountain that's coming.
So you're fairly confident you're finding your way. Is like which like would you go towards the sea or towards the woods? Not that it matters much, but
I'm a woods man.
okay.
David, where are
Mhm.
we on the scale of when we're likely to see a new full moon? Like, is that not knowledge we would have?
Yeah, like it's like fairly rudimentary. It probably matters
Yeah,
more to people in this age than it does to us.
yeah, yeah,
So the next full moon. So first of all, you know that the two moons are on different cycles. So
yeah,
San is on a 20-day cycle and Sol is on an 80-day cycle.
yeah.
Now both are waning, and that sort of gives you about 15, 16 days before the next San, and probably about 60 days before the next Sol.
Okay. as we're walking, I'll walk up next to Kasar and go, I know the full moon is not close, but would you, I am able to remove your curse from you. Would you like me to do this? I have communed with my God. He has given me the power to do so.
If your god had given you the power, I wouldn't say no.
Your god hasn't been too reliable. Well,
Wouldn't
You're not
I
in
wouldn't
this
like to
conversation, man.
wouldn't like to get to Askaby and then have to be restrained,
Yeah.
or worse, get loose.
Okay. I will place my hand on Kasar's head and I will cast Remove Curse.
Okay, and Kasar, a few things. So you'll feel like the warmth of Ulfa's hand touch you, and then it starts off as a warm glow, sort of permeate you, but then you can sort of feel like the tingle of electricity in it, and then you will feel discernibly weaker, as if your gear has just sort of like piled on, like somebody's just put another bag on your back or something. So you will sort of your back will bow a little bit from the sudden new weight.
Okay.
If I see him like slump, I'll like go to steady him and like steady, my man. Not an easy process. This.
As he goes to grab me, I'll sort of jump at him and snap my teeth in sort of half joke.
I'll initially like look scared, like I have to hit you, and then like like big massive laugh once I realize you're mucking about.
I'll chuckle and just say, well, whatever that was, it certainly made carrying this all easier. I feel a bit weak. Hopefully, it won't affect my ability to guide you.
No, I hope not.
Whatever that was, just took a bit of a toll on me.
There is a spirit of a wolf inside you. I imagine it is as comfortable as going out as it was going in.
Okay, so if you just want to unequip that feat from you, Kasar, you should take
Yeah,
everything
you
with
might
it.
have to do some fiddling because if I remember, there's
How
some
do I
issues.
unequip?
Well, in D&D Beyond, just go to features and traits, and then you'll find it at the bottom. In fact, I might be able to do it for you. It's like manage feat. And it.
Okay, thank you. I've changed my strength in VTT Foundry as well, mainly.
Perfect. Okay, so yeah, you arrive at the sort of the base of the third group of hills, which does have a sort of a. It's hard to call it a mountain. It is a very large hill, but you feel like it would be an insult to mountains to call it a mountain. And the sort of afternoon's getting on. You know that the sun will start to dip within the next couple of hours, and that you're probably, if your map is accurate, you're probably another 3-4 hours from the highway.
Yep. What do you guys think? The road is another few hours from here. The forest is on our west. Or we can stay here by the hills. It's up to you.
Yeah, so from what you all remember of travelling on the sort of the Imperial Highway, is it's a paved and smooth road, and it does make the going much easier. So there's like the dirt track was no different than what you've been doing, but the being on the highway would have a discernible distance, like difference on the amount of ground you can cover.
Well, we could aim for the forest for tonight, and then tomorrow morning just use the road to get the rest of the way. We've cut out majority of the way now. It would just be the last day of travel.
yeah.
Okay.
Use the
Should
the
we
road
aim?
fast.
Yeah,
Should we aim for there then?
you can probably see the gloom of a forest ahead of you. It's probably about 7 miles away, so a good hour and a half. Sorry, hour. A good 2 hours, definitely, maybe 3 to get to the forest from where you are.
Yeah, so aim for that. northwest of us, almost like the tip of the forest.
Mhm.
Yes, there. And then same as last night.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yep. So we'll light a fire. Do exactly the same as last night.
Okay, is there anybody who wants to do anything in particular?
Now that I'm in my beloved forest, I'm going to do the same as last night.
The only thing I'm trying to do is trying to think of some sort of disguise for our less discernible members of the party, but I don't have anything to work on to help me do that. So that's I'll probably nothing.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
I could deattune to my hat and give it to someone. Do I know that would work, David, if I deattuned to the hat and gave it to someone?
Yeah, it's like it's a magical item. You're familiar enough to sort of like know how things work. They're quite like common in the world. Yeah, the person
Yep.
just has to essentially spend some time learning it, and then sort of like when they become accustomed to it, they'll learn any command words, etc. They just basically
Okay.
have to study it.
Yeah. I'm going to take the hat then as before I go off and give it to Cluck and say spend some time with this. I've already I've had it for quite some time. If you get to learn it and get to learn the command word, it will turn you into the nice nurse lady we met back at that mansion. Forget that she was a ghoul, but it'll at least get you past the guards.
I'll sort of say, okay, I'll see what I can learn from it.
And I will de-equip it.
Okay. So, Cluck, it would be a hat of disguise that you need to give yourself.
What in both
D&D
here
Beyond.
and
Oh, don't
D&D
worry.
Beyond?
Yeah, don't worry about it here because it really doesn't have any particular thing on any of your stats or anything. It just like gives you the ability to disguise yourself.
Ulfar's gonna swap out of his holy plate armor and put on his white bleached chainmail instead as
What's
another.
it called, David? Was it Hat of?
Hat of disguise.
And I expect that back, young bird man. That's a loner.
Sorry, what was that, Ulfar? Before you were rudely cut off.
It's alright. I'm changing. I am changing out of my my plate mail into my chain mail as
Okay.
another layer of slightly different looking. I'm now no longer a plate mail wearing white dreadlock man. I'm a chainmail wearing man with twists.
Is anybody else doing anything as we can?
Nope.
No, just meditating.
Only the foraging and hunting.
Okay.
So I'll look at the Hat of Disguise and see if I can figure it out.
Okay. Then a survival check from you, Kasar, and I think because you're in the wood, you'll get to add a bonus to it. So just double check. I think you're not proficient in survival, are you?
No, I'm not. I really need to do that. Trust me, it's on my list. It's
Okay.
on my list.
Just typing up some notes. So with a 7, you have no luck in the woods, despite there being your professed favorite terrain. You catch the glimpse of something, but you have no ability to kill it, and you can choose whether or not you share that with your friend.
Do I know what I caught the glimpse of? Was it an animal?
Yeah, it was like possibly a young buck or something. It's springtime after all, so.
No, I think my pride would be too hurt by that. I'd just go back and say that there's nothing around here.
Okay.
Didn't catch anything.
Not even a nibble.
Eaten by that 900-foot wolf you killed all those times ago.
I didn't kill it. I drove it off, like the
Oh,
man I
fine.
am, with my 2 hands.
Yeah, that story's become a bit like you. Despite him exaggerating, you kind of get that's what probably turned him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, dear.
Then just assuming the same watch as last night, unless there's any reason to change it. A bunch of perception rolls, please.
Hey, I critted again. Why? My rolls are exactly the same. Oh, actually, no, it wasn't the perception roll on watch. I got a 24.
Okay. Then during the early hours of the morning, Kassar, when you are on watch, you will become aware because you're probably only like you're close enough to the road that you catch the sound of like horseshoes on the cobblestones.
Right. Okay. Am I close enough to be able to see anything?
No, you would have to leave the campsite.
Okay. If is the fire still going, or is there any smoke coming from the fire? 'Cause if there is, I'll cover it with dirt to stop the smoke
it's
rising.
probably very low, like just glowing embers. Nothing that you think you'd give the position away.
Okay. I'll wake everyone up as quietly as I can and tell them that I can hear something on the road. I can hear horses.
A single horse.
Oh, I can hear a horse on the road. If it's only a single one, I'll head out to the tree line after waking them up to see if I can find out who it is, or what it is.
Okay.
I'll hang back because I'm noisy.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. So, because as you sort of like creep forward in the woods to the sort of like the edge of the tree line, now this part of the sort of the wood has the sort of like the trees have been felled back so that they don't encroach over the road. So you have to stop, a number of feet away. And you'll see sort of off in the distance, because you've been hearing this sort of clip clop get closer and closer. And as you look to sort of further into the woods, you will see what appears to be a man riding a brilliant white horse, and the horse itself appears to sort of like be giving off a moon like light glow to it.
Okay.
And given your experience of the Empire,
Yeah.
you have a feeling you know of this person, and
Okay.
the one, like, it's a feeling of dread that that fills you, because you're fairly certain you've heard of this person and you know them as Sonair, and Sonair is the Empire's greatest bounty hunter.
Oh, fuck.
And his reputation among people in the Empire is so much that when people catch wind that he's tracking them and after them, they surrender because it's inevitable.
Surely we've not done enough to warrant somebody that dangerous.
Okay.
Is a man walking down the road. A man that Kassar will recognise as the Empire's greatest bounty hunter.
Yeah,
If-
I'm just like metagaming.
Well, the only two. Is anyone else with me? Because the only two people who said anything was Kratel and Ulfa, who both said they were going to hang back.
I assumed everybody hung back.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did.
If I see this sort of going down the road with a bad feeling in my stomach, I'm going to creep back as far as I can and try to just stay out of sight and hide as he passes.
Yeah. So this, from what you've seen, he's not he's not scanning. He's not looking around. He's just sort of like riding through the woods. Well, riding through the woods. He's riding on the road that cuts through the woods, and the road literally cuts through the woods. So, but he seems to be traveling to Ascoby.
Okay. Yeah, I think if I have a feeling of dread in my stomach about this guy, I'm not going out and introducing myself alone. So I'll hang back until he's passed.
Yeah, so sort of like a half an hour or so, and he will have not only passed out of sight but also out of hearing as well. So the other thing that will now strike you all as Kazaz woken you up and that the fire has started to die down is just how bitterly cold it is today, and the weather's dropped again, and it's now -11.
Yes, one way or the other, we need to get into the city. I don't fancy staying out here the way the weather is going.
The other thing as well, and it's probably, in fact, I'd like Quatel and Ulfar to make religion checks, please.
Ooh. Thanks, Patel. You made
Yeah.
up for my.
So, yeah, Quatel, you would know that today marks the start of Maker's Day, which is a week-long festival for craftsmen. And the culmination of that festival is in 7 days' time. And whether or not you can use that to your advantage, you don't know, but you know that has started today.
So there'll be lots of people.
So it started? Is that ended?
You just put up the end, yeah.
Yes, sorry, it started on the full moon. You're right. So it is the end of the festival, which is the big celebration where all the essentially there's like a competition that happens, and craftsmen reveal what they've been working on, and it's kind of like a bit like a village fete type deal, but for blacksmiths and weaponsmiths and tinkers and all sorts of people.
Ooh.
So we might be able to get something fancy.
We can look at something we can't afford, at the very least.
But
Alright,
even
yeah,
those
I'll,
who aren't craftsmen, there is like a big celebration to celebrate the end and the choosing and stuff like that. So it's a bit like a, like a sort of like a festival of sorts. No, it is a festival. It is a day to honor Moradin, and it is
He's honoured by people making things.
yeah, and like it's an excuse for a good party. So even those that don't particularly worship Moradin tend to take part.
Like a St. Paddy's Day.
Exactly what I was about to say.
It's not that big. But
Okay.
like to some extent, all the gods have fairly positive holy days that most people will celebrate because it's a break from their horrible existence.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I was thinking of school fates, you know, when they come in and they make stuff and you can buy it for a couple of quid, but just like on a better scale.
Yeah.
And put it in the bin.
Yeah. Alright, shall we get on the road and start heading up?
So are you going to tell anybody about anything?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was going to. So I'll tell them that we can get on the road and head up, but we shouldn't be too hasty. As I just saw the Empire's most feared bounty hunter on the road, and I'll sort of say that with a bit of a chuckle and just say, if he catches us, we're probably dead. He's a fearsome man.
Although any of us wanted enough to warrant him coming after us.
Yeah, so as I was going to say, I can't imagine we're
Me
quite
and
that
Kazar probably
scale.
are.
When it comes to bounty hunters, if we crossed his path randomly, he'd probably take us in for the gold anyway. Doesn't matter how wanted we are or not.
Granted, but he's probably
If he-
not looking for you.
It didn't seem like he was looking for us, but I'd rather not go and say hello if it's all the same to you.
I understand. Yes. Okay. On to the city.
Yeah, so it's still
Alright.
early morning, so like the sun hasn't even thought about rising yet. So you essentially this happened during your stretch of the watch, Kassar. So even though like it would be long enough for most people to have a long rest, like there's nothing to say that you have to set off now. Now from your map, you reckon you're probably about 9 hours from the city, just judging by like how long you've got to go and how long it'll take you.
Yeah. Well, if everyone's feeling rested enough, I say let's go now. I'm up. I'm
Hit the
pumped.
road.
I've got adrenaline spiking through my veins.
Let us go.
Okay. So I'm just calculating how many hours it would actually take. Okay, so 9 hours later.
Hey, bang on.
So about mid-afternoon somewhere.
Midday. Following the road, you will arrive at the gates of Askaby.
As we sort of get close to the gates of Askew, but before we're in sight of the gates themselves, I'd probably like to bring up the fact that it's probably best if we go in 2 separate groups. It probably looks less suspicious, and we can probably get away with having a giant turtle. There'll be plenty of people in the city, probably even other turtles. But if we near enough match the description bang on, then I don't know how well that'll go. I'll also tap Cluck and tell him to get his bonnet on.
I'll put on the hat.
Oh God, we're little.
Yeah, I'm just going to change the scale of the map, see if that helps. Maybe not.
I'm good.
Zoom right in.
Yeah, you are pretty.
I just realised that the giant square around me was like the edge of my character. Sorry, just learning new things with the new setup.
Just remember you can hit tab to auto target yourself.
There we go.
Oh my god, we move a long way per step.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's what I was saying about the square.
It doesn't have a grid on it, so don't worry about that too much. If you hold down shift, you can like precise place your. I can't like the grid is turned off, but apparently like to make your characters that size, I have to do weird things. Tell you what, let's just do back to normal. And
On like a little microscopic dot on the map.
That's what Zoom's for.
Ah,
Oh no, I'm gone.
we're dead. Game over.
That was Sonair. He just walked out the gates and was just like.
I challenge you to duel, sir.
You find out somehow somebody we've killed is his father. My name is Sonair. You kill my father.
sorry, I am just rescaling tokens to make it.
Okay. I found
Hopefully,
you can move anywhere. You can move anywhere with the shift. You just have to move out. You pull your cursor outside of the square, and then you can go back into the square. So if you try to move him inside the square, it doesn't really work until you put him outside the square. If that makes sense to everyone.
Yeah.
But it is totally doable.
Yeah. I get Like it will
It's a
be.
bit annoying. I have made the grid small again, but it's a bit annoying that it has to remain. Okay, so that is
I
all
think yeah,
set.
we can work with this.
Where is? Okay, so you will see the walls of Ascapia rising above you, and the road itself will pass between some like outlying buildings that have been built up to serve the traders moving in and out.
Okay.
And you can see the sort of like the start of Ascapia in front of you, and the one thing that you'll sort of immediately notice is there's a large line of wagons that appear to be queued on the right hand side of the road waiting to go into the city through the gates.
Something to what you said, Kazar, with Pluck's new look, I think it might be as smart to stay in one group, in that if we're going to be discovered, it would be better for us to be discovered together and have a fighting chance to escape than should some of us be split apart. That's just what I think. Most of us are not particularly recognizable.
Okay, so a couple of things that you would know, having been on the island for some time. Those that came here willingly probably know a bit more, but between you, you will know that Ascapia itself is built on the ruins of a precursor city, and you could probably, from your other dealings on the island, hazard that this was a gnome city. The city was originally founded by Lord Asker, who's named after, and there is a hereditary title that is passed down through Lord Asker's descendants. So there's always a Lord Asker who is like the sort of like the lord in charge of the city.
Yeah. Cool. I guess do we get in this queue, or is there a pedestrian entrance?
Yeah, if the wagons are all pulled off to one side, can we get in by foot?
Yeah, Duval's looking, mentions to the other one to keep a lookout for a blanket or something he can cover himself with.
Ulfa will throw a blanket towards you. I currently have a blanket on my position. I will take it off, but you now have my blanket.
Put it over his head to hide his features.
So you're gonna wear a blanket.
I'm gonna wear it's cold, so I'm gonna wear a blanket and put it over as a hood.
Okay.
People are now
I
looking
mean,
like Emperor Palpatine.
it does look like a blanket. It does no way look like a cloak.
That's fine.
No, but he won't be instantly recognizable as a giant talking.
No,
somebody
it'll
from
look like
behind me.
somebody who's wearing a blanket.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's odd, but it's a different kind of odd.
As long as the blanket isn't pink with white dots on it, it's a plain grey or black.
No, it's
blanket.
blue with white lightning bolts on, obviously.
Oh, of course.
I'm joking. It's probably brown.
By this
And
point, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wear it over my head like a hood, and clasp it in some way at the neckline.
Okay. So ahead of you, so the only real thing of note outside the walls is there's a tavern set by the road. Ahead of you, you can see the entrance into Ascapia, which is an imposing set of double gates. And now the gates are themselves painted brilliant white, and they are open. And you can see that the wagon at the head of the line is being searched by several Imperial soldiers. Now these look like legionaries, much like the men that were guarding the pass at Telencolis. There also does seem to be a smaller like queue of people like queuing to get into the city in a separate line next to the wagons. But they're also, from what you can tell, at least being questioned before they're let in. On to the side of the tower, the gates, there is 2 towers, and they have got red dragon heads attached to them. And they, from what you can see, they look real.
Okay. No mean feat. They're not rotting, presumably, and they still look like red dragon heads. So
Yes.
if they are real, they've had some sort of magic
Taxidermy.
cast on them or something to keep them from decaying. Would be the assumption.
Or just taxidermied.
Yes, yes, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, but yeah, they're definitely preserved, or they're preserved or fresh.
Yeah, yeah, that's more worrying.
They're alive, coiled up inside the towers, waiting to strike.
Poking their heads out of a really tiny window.
Yeah. Alright, in that case, I guess we just join the line of passengers.
And the queue as well.
I'll go first as I'm at the head, I guess. So it's on the left side, is it? Just...
No, everything's queuing on the right. And
okay.
as you sort of like, you can see the inner gate where there seems to be a hell of a lot more soldiers in the inner courtyard. And then beyond that, looking further, you can see another queue of wagons that appear to be queuing to come out of the city.
Okay.
Question, David. Would I know whether there's a temple to Cord in Ascapy?
You would have passed through Ascapy prior to your arrival on the island. It depends how long you spent here.
Well, I imagine if there was a temple to Cord, I would have seeked it out. Like it's like a you know,
Okay,
you check in with your guys.
Yeah, so presuming you asked somebody, you would have found that so while you've been off in the desert, that the Empire seems to be pushing worship of a particular god. I'm just trying to find what's it called, because I've forgotten about it myself.
Yeah, I vaguely remember you mentioned this before, but
So there is a large temple in the city that was previously dedicated to all gods, where there is still a shrine to Cord, but you were told rather as if you were like some sort of like barbarian or peasant for not understanding, but that worship had been, the Empire's pretty much pushing Raphis. It sounds about right. As like it's like the one true god, and like have elevated her above all others. But there would still have been a small shrine to God within that temple.
Okay. Cool.
And you would know that you would know at point 9.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just as we're in the queue, Ulfar's just thinking of why he's here as an excuse. What does he remember about the city?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it does take an awful long time for you, Ulfar and Duvar, because it's not your first time here as free men. You seem to think it's probably 3 or 4 times as busy as it has been when you last came through here.
Yeah.
But like with what Kutel told you about the festival, it's probably to be expected. But an hour will pass before you make it to the front of the line, Kassar, and you will be addressed by a couple of legionaries, and they will be asking you to state your business. And like you've taken off your dread helm, and you've I don't know, done something with your hair or.
I've taken off the dread helm. I've changed my cloak to my winter cloak, which is more like, I imagine, sort of a fur-lined, sort of a bit nicer, because we took it from the manor. And so I just sort of say I'm here for the end of the festival. I was hoping to catch the celebrations and potentially buy something.
Okay. Make a deception check with advantage.
Is it shift or control for advantage?
Shift.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank God for advantage.
Yep. The legionary seems to nod and sort of like, yep. Okay. That will be 1 gold piece.
I'll flip him a gold piece and say,
Yep.
Thank you.
He will stand aside and gesture for you to enter the city.
Do I get into the city or just into the inner gate?
No. So once you're into the inner gate, it is there's
Oh, that's
there's,
when I get in.
yeah. There's no queue for you to move into the next area.
All right,
Okay,
I'll wait on this corner for my comrades.
Yeah. So in fact, we'll just go for each person. So Critelli will gesture for you to come forward. State your business.
Here for the end of the festival. Just going to enjoy the celebration and, well, see what people have made, see if there's anything nice.
A deception check from you. Let's see. Yeah, you would have advantage as well. Yep, he will nod and ask you for your gold piece, and then gesture for you to move.
I'll hand him a gold piece.
And he's like, move along. Next. And he will gesture for this
Nurse.
this
No, no, nurse.
yeah this like nurse servant to step forward.
Best
should
nurse for-
Probably you
for-
started this at the start, but like let's just. He's asked you for a name, Kasar. What name did you give?
Oh, he's asked me for a name.
Yeah, because it'll get funnier as we go through this. So, like as you're like passing through, with the first thing as you approached him, he would have said name. I'm just retconning a bit.
I'm gonna say Roger.
Okay, Critel.
Roger.
I've just assumed you've assumed the guy's from the mansion's identity. Now you've got his cloak. Good
I
old
can't
Roger.
remember the other guy's name. Yeah, I can't remember the other guy's name. It was Arrow or something.
It was
wasn't
Arrow. The Arrow, the famous bounty hunter. Sorry, famous monster hunter.
Yeah, I'll call myself Arrow.
Okay. So, Cloak, he will gesture for you to step forward and go, name,
Allura.
purpose,
I come here for the end of the festival and hope to buy some of the trinkets that have been made.
deception check with advantage, please.
That guard must have heard that how many times today?
Yeah, you're getting the feeling he's just like, festival, yeah, way through, festival, yeah, way through. It's kind of probably good timing that you arrived on festival day, because he's probably sick to the back teeth of people arriving for the festival, and he says, move along. And he'll say, miss, keep an eye on your coin purse, there's reports of thieves about.
I'll sort of clutch my coin purse.
Okay, and you can step into the city. Next.
Didn't ask for a gold piece.
Funny that.
Yeah.
How revealing is that maid's outfit?
It's probably
It's the
not
one
very-
you get for Halloween, not the one for useful work.
it's
Well, that'll be why you got him for
Yeah.
free then.
Or it could just be that only the men can have property and can be taxed.
Sexism.
Name,
Either way, it's sexism.
Ulfa, cleric of the Stormlord.
I forgot.
purpose,
I come for the festival and to visit the shrine of my god.
he will say to you that Cord is is no longer considered a god in these lands. You may pay your respects at your shrine, but you must do so to Arathis as well, whose temple Cord now resides in.
Uvar takes a step back.
At least 15 feet.
Gritting, gritting his teeth, Ulfa goes, I understand.
1 gold piece.
Did I have to pay the last time, was it?
You were coming out, so you weren't charged anything for leaving.
No, was it? Okay, no worries then. I will, yeah, I'll give him the gold piece.
Move along.
He does-
Name.
Soup.
Purpose.
Festival, my good man. Festival. Of course, everybody loves the festival.
Fucking soup.
What are you?
Me? Total.
What's a turtle?
Me.
Don't get smart with me. I'll send you
Fucking
to the
smart,
back
sir.
of the line.
This is what I am. I can't be any more than that.
Make a deception check, Duvar.
Remind me of shift again here?
Shift.
Is it with advantage?
It is not.
It is not with advantage.
Oh, you're a turtle wearing a blanket.
Yeah, well, I did take my blanket.
Oh, God.
I did take my blanket. Oh, well, okay.
It was
Yeah,
always
yeah.
going to be the last one.
Yeah, it was always going to be the last one. It was always going to be Devar as well. You know it was going to be Devar.
So he will sort of like square his eyes, look up and down, and he says, "Soup." Okay. And he will look at your possessions and see you've got like a quarterstaff and a bunch of other things. If you've got anything that is quite obviously a weapon. You broke up there, I didn't hear you. Is everybody else getting bad Discord? Yeah. Please stand by while we wait for Discord to sort its life out. Okay, we're going to take just a 2-minute break while we wait for Discard to sort itself out. And we will pick up once that has fixed and see what happens to Duvar.
David, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Have you called everyone else into this?
I am going to.
Okay.
Where is the button to add people to that?
Near the search.
I need to be friends
Yeah.
with you first.
Oh. Okay. Where is it? Accept. There you go.
Okay. I need to be friends with all of them. This is fucking inconvenient. Please stand by while we sort out our stuff. Right, apparently I'm friends with Brooke.
Yeah, I think he's having problems of his own. I'm not quite sure what's going on with him.
Hello, can you still hear us? Hello?
Hello.
There we
We got. So we're just missing Mike and Peter. There we go.
Hello.
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 There we go. Right. So as I was saying before, Discord rudely cut me off. Duvar, you are asked to essentially move inside, and he points at another legionary in front, like in the inner gate, and he says, "Go there, take a right."
Okay. I follow his lead. Go
Okay. So
there.
as you walk into the inner gate and turn right, there is like a few tables laid out, and there's like essentially people are being disarmed as they enter the city. So you will be asked to turn over any weapons or spell scrolls.
So I pass my
Daggers and
pass
darts.
my daggers and darts. One dagger and dart, a dagger. And dart,
Yeah,
and
a dagger.
dual dagger.
7 darts.
Mhm.
You are also carrying 2 long swords as well, according to your. Yep.
Why did you pick up long
When did I pick up longswords?
You've got 2 sets of long swords, 2 chainmails.
What?
I've been carrying all this stuff around and I didn't even know.
Massive hoarder.
Oh yeah, done plate mail armor. Yeah, I'll hand those over.
Yep. Okay.
I'll hand those two long
So
swords
as you're like putting this stuff down on the table, you can see somebody is writing down these possessions.
over. The dagger.
Yeah. He says, "Okay. You can collect these on your exit. Sign here, and he will pass you a quill."
Okay, and I will make a symbol in my own language.
Okay. And he says, the toll for you is 20 gold.
Ooh, that's nasty.
You have 20 gold.
I think I have 20 gold, yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
I would hope so.
Oh, that's okay. Then I will hand over 20 gold.
Okay.
He
will
2 platinum pieces.
He will scroll up this document that you've just been made to sign and hand it to you. And he will say that your details have been taken, as has your description and name. You are being let into the city with a warning. If you cause any trouble, your goods here will be forfeit, and we will know who and what to look for. Is that clear?
Yes, of course.
You may enter the city.
Thank you.
And you are let into the city through the inner gate, and you can see your comrades milling around in the square in front of you.
What took you so long?
So, well, that was easy, eh, guys?
Yeah,
There was
Duval.
a,
trouble.
Duval looks like he's not. His pack has gone down in considerable bulk.
You got a spring in his step.
I will relay what happened to the others, so they are aware of the situation.
Well, unfortunately, you are the most obvious one since we managed to disguise Cluck.
And if we don't leave that way, if we do find another way out via boat, you might lose that stuff.
I want my longswords back, which I didn't know about.
Well, we are planning to leave by ship, so.
I'll also say to Cluck that it's probably best that he keeps the hat on for now, until we get to a sort of an inn and he can quietly change back.
Yes, you're very comely, Clark. It's a good look on you.
I'll turn around and slap him in the face.
Good work, nurse. I'll clap her on the back. Good work, nurse.
So Cluck, while wearing the hat, you essentially have to like recast the spell on yourself every hour. And there is a brief moment where your true form is visible. So that's just something you're gonna have to learn to deal with while you're in the city. Now you have been in the queue for just under an hour.
Okay.
So you
So I need to find
duck
some sort
into
of
an alleyway
alleyway.
and
So I'll
refresh.
sort of wander
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I'd like you all
Right.
to make a perception check.
His ears are on point today.
Okay. So as you look around to get your bearings, you will see off to your west what appears to be a row of taverns and inns. They've all got different names hanging out of them, and I can go through them if you wish. Otherwise, I will move on. To your northwest, you can see a sort of a statue in a fountain, and a road that leads up and away. To your north, you can see a giant white arch. It looks like a gatehouse, but there's no walls attached and there's no gate. Ulfar, you will know that way leads towards the temple and sort of the market area. To your east and sort of northeast, you'll see roads that seem to lead off to like houses. So you can see what looks to be a park to your immediate east, and from your position, you can see a tower that rises out of the corner of that park. Now, Ulfar, you will be familiar with a few locations in the city, but apart from the sort of like the taverns, the docks, and the temple and the market, that's kind of it.
Yeah, just a good broad strokes what was necessary while I was here.
Yeah.
Details.
So, considering it's the last day of the Makers Festival, where would you all like to go?
I imagine the market.
You're overheard by somebody who's walking through the square, and they say, "Are you here for the festival?"
Yes.
Yes.
Well, you look like strangers. It's your first time in the city. You look like adventuring sorts.
I have stopped here briefly in my travels, but I'm not well versed in the city.
We're on our way to the festival as well. Would you like us to take you that way? It's quite easy to get lost in such a big city, especially if you're used to the wilds.
I think we can probably manage, but what do you guys think?
He's only trying to be friendly.
So I need
if he-
to just head off east for a bit. I need to
So Cluck will
Quickly
excuse
think.
himself and start walking down a
I'm
road.
just gonna head down this little alleyway down here.
Yeah. Okay. So once you you sort of like turn down the lane. You can then cut into the alley between the buildings and wait enough time so that you believe you're alone and recast your spell. The people that have stopped to talk to you will say, well, if you we can't dally, so if you're looking for the Makers Festival, that's at Makers Square. That's behind Aspen Hall, and he'll sort of point vaguely to the northwest. It's a large hall, lots of gardens. You can't miss it. And they will walk off.
If you help.
The market is that way. I presume that was where. Where the hell has Cluck gone?
And I'll just come back.
Just I'll turn to Ulfar and say the disguise doesn't last long. He's just gone to refresh it.
I'll come back
Okay.
and just sort of tap my hat,
It's a bonnet.
my bonnet.
Your pretty floral bonnet.
Look. Come now. And what name? What actually? What's your nurse name?
Who's Cluck's most hated person?
Come
Who
on,
do you
Laura. Let's go to the market and see what we can find. What do you say?
Let's go.
And you go off arm in arm.
We'll follow off. I guess we'll go up this way.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
sorry, the market is like quite obviously well, Ulfar told you it's north. So you like beyond the arch, not northwest. Northwest is the way that the two
Okay.
people sort of gestured if you wanted to head towards the Makers Festival.
Oh, I thought that's what we were doing when we said make us think. Okay, we can go
No,
to the market. if
the
you like.
the Makers Festival is in a place called Makers Square.
Okay.
So the market would be directly north of you, and Ulfar would know this. And if you wanted to go there, okay. So as you move forward, you'll see a crescent with some sort of like grander looking houses set around it, and you will see that that there's this giant archway that looks a bit like a gatehouse and a bit like a triumph set in front of you. You can see that there's two large statues that you sort of pass on your way. They're like 3 times the size of a normal man, of legionaries, but for you, Kassar, they're wearing like quite old and antiquated armor. They're definitely of a previous time. And then as you get forward and you can see the arch, you can see on the inner side of it, which the road will pass under, just lists of names.
Do I recognize any of the names at all?
You might recognize like the sort of like, as in you'll know the names of people, but
Yeah.
there's nobody that that has a name that you recognize. There's no like, there might be people that share like a surname or a forename, but there's no like, you know, if you're looking for somebody, it doesn't seem to there's any names
one
on
I
there
know.
that you know.
Okay.
And you can make a perception check though, see if there's anything else you can work out. That'd be a no.
All right. Well, let's keep heading to the market, I guess.
Yeah.
Keep walking through.
So as you move forward, you will see a it's hard to describe. So it's like a stone or brick building that has a gateway in the middle, and if you pass through that open gateway, you enter into what is a open air bazaar, and there's a number of stalls set into the building itself, and then just like it looks like a free for all of stalls in there.
Very similar to the bit in London. I know sort of what you mean.
Yeah.
It's more like a souk.
As we step inside the market, I'll lean into the guys and say, I would suggest you keep a close eye on your possessions. This, like many cities, have people whose fingers are sticky.
Ain't that the truth?
into Bug's cousin. Bug's Ascobie cousin.
Maybe even Bug. Like, if he
When we
survives.
get to the marketplace, I'll take out my green silk handkerchief and sort of tie it around my arm.
Okay.
Can I do like a perception check to see if I notice this happening? Like whether it.
Are you particularly just like you're obviously
like-
not making light of it, Kassar, but are you like just trying to do this without drawing attention, or are you just doing it?
I'm just doing it casually.
Okay. Then yeah, you don't need to roll. It's like he gets out a silk handkerchief and ties it around his arm.
Basically what I want to roll is to see whether I actually notice, because I'm not paying attention to Kassar.
At some point, you would look at him and he would be wearing like a captain's armband.
Okay.
It's like I'm gonna say at some point you will
just
see it.
become
So why not
obvious.
now?
Okay. What's with the fancy arm decoration, Kassar?
I'll be right back.
Kassar?
Sorry, it's just something I learnt from my days out in the military. And less likely to be pickpocketed with this on my arm, I believe.
Inside check. I completely believe you.
Yeah, you've got like, he exaggerates a few times, but like Kassar, in all these dealings with you, you believe he has been completely honest. So,
Yeah, I've not been on the other side.
and he is like an imperial like man. He's been in the army. Like he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. In fact, I'd say that based on what he said, you all think that you should do something similar.
Yeah. If I see a stall selling like fabrics or like scarves, if I see a green one, I will probably if I can find something that is an approximation of what he's done, I will probably buy one as
Okay.
we're looking around.
So, is there anything in particular that you're coming to the market? So it becomes very obvious as soon as you've entered that pretty much everything that you can consider seems to be for sale, and it is it's even though it's a festival day, it is still thronging with people.
Ulfar is probably looking to replace his plate armor with some that fits. So if somebody is arms and armor sort of knocking about, he'll probably keep an eye out for that.
Is there anything else that Ulfar would be looking for? I'm just trying to. I'm going to build a list, and then I'm going to get you all to roll perceptions, and we'll see how well you do finding stuff. So Ulfar's interested in arms and armor. Anything else?
Same for me.
What was that? Sorry, Critel?
Be the same for me.
Same for
arms
you.
and arm.
Okay.
Yep, and same for me as well.
Same for Club.
Literally, he's always on the lookout for anything that's related to his god. So anything that symbolically was, tied to his god, he would probably draw his eye. Other than that,
After you, Duvar.
Winter clothes, and if we can, don't know if we can, a spear.
Okay.
Arms.
No arms. Okay, so not a spear then.
No, as in you're looking for arms.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
and clothing.
Arms and clothing, Kassar?
For me, I'm looking for in this order of criticality, someone who deals with like optometry or lenses, that sort of thing. A Fletcher, and some sort of herbalist for poisons.
Okay. And have you as you enter the market, is your plan just to sort of spread out and look, or do you discuss what you need, or?
how I suggest we go up and down the market stalls together and see what's here and then go from there. What do you guys think?
probably the
Yeah.
best idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like in a supermarket.
Yep.
I have to look after my nurse.
So I'd like you all to roll perceptions. So over the course of the next hour, you will search the market. Now, Cluck will assume that you find somewhere suitable to duck out of sight for a second and sort your outfit. And let's see. So, so you will find. So you'll definitely find like shops that sell materials all far, like silks and linens and things like that. You will also see between you will all see like there is a herbalist, there is an alchemist, there is like a potion shop, there's like a material component shop, there's all manners of sort of like knickknacks and tokens and trinkets. The one thing that none of you see is anybody selling weapons or armor. And presuming that this strikes you as odd and you ask any of the stall owners, like, you know, where can you buy weapons? The answer is that you'd have to head across to the Hammer Works. That's where all the sort of like the metal workers have shops. They don't sell in the bazaar.
Does that include fletching?
Probably because like.
Yeah, because the arrowheads are going to be made over
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. You'll find like a carpenter who could probably like craft stuff out of wood quite easily here. In fact, would you? No. So anything that is a craft, you're sort of directed to head over to the Hammerworks, and anything that is like just like stuff that you could just buy, not necessarily by somebody who's made it, but by like middlemen traders, it would be here.
In this silk stall, do I see a handkerchief that looks like Cassars at all?
So there doesn't seem to be any handkerchiefs other than like white being sold. Now there is like similar looking materials. The green, when you ask about it, it is a little pricey just because of the like it's a harder colour to make.
Yeah. And how close is it in terms of colour to what Cassars got?
Difficult. It's it's probably close enough, but not. It doesn't like look like Cassars.
Okay.
Cassars has a bit of like fine embroidery around the edge and stuff. It looks like it's made to be a handkerchief, whereas this is like a stall selling silk in bulks.
How much are they looking for the closest approximation? That
So they're after for the green in silk.
Yeah.
They're after 24 gold a yard.
Never mind. I'll deal with the thieves.
Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on your purse strings.
Thank you. So yeah, arms and arms are elsewhere. What else?
Do we find anybody selling anything that looks like winter clothes or anything like that?
Yes. Sorry, you will find like somebody selling cloaks.
Okay. And Duval would like to find out how much they would sell a warm winter cloak or clothes for that he would be able to wear.
Okay, so sorry, were you like just are you shopping as you go around, or are you sort of like taking a look at all the stalls, then meeting up, and then going to a different place?
I imagine we stop as people like decide, like they draw attention that they want to have a look at a particular stall.
Okay.
Unless anyone else was thinking different.
Yeah. So for a sort of set of like winter clothes and presumably boots, Duvar, you'd be looking at around 6 gold.
Okay. I'd like to buy them, please.
Okay. So they will hand over the cloak and the pair of boots and happily take your coin.
Okay. Fine. 10 silver, so
For those watching the stream, it is it's probably not the most exciting thing for you, but they have been looking for a shop for a long time.
Been a
yes,
long time
nothing
since
like-
we could actually find things to buy.
Yeah. Or had the funds to buy them.
Yes.
Anything else we want to do here?
No, I need to find someone who can make lenses, preferably. But that sounds like it needs to be down in the makers area.
Yeah, so
Yes.
you are directed, Kassar, to the Hammerworks, where all manner of things are crafted, and if you want like glass work and stuff like that, you're probably you would have more luck there.
Okay. Presuming everyone's done, let's head over to the
So
hammer.
there is like provision shops, herbalist, potion shops, material shops, that sort of thing. So I think you said you were after like poisons, Kassar?
Poisons is kind of last on my list. I'm saving my money for the first couple of things on that list. If I have enough money later, I'll revisit.
Okay.
But for now, it's like if I spent 20 gold now and it turned out I had like 5 gold less than what was needed, I'd be pissed.
You'd probably beat up Duvan and take his gold. You owe me again, Turtle. Pay up.
All right, should we go to the Hammerworks then?
Off we go.
Okay.
Alright.
Well, now before we suddenly like start teleporting over the map, you have no idea where the Hammerworks is.
Oh
Decent
no.
question where we
I'm
go.
back. None of them, and I know what I was saying because I was. None of them specified exactly where the Hammerworks is. You just kept hearing that you need to, if you want a crafter, you need to head over to the Hammerworks.
Well,
Can we head to the
I'll ask,
square in front of us?
Is it possible to ask a store owner where it is?
You certainly can do that.
Okay, then I will approach a store owner and ask him if he could direct us to where the Hammerworks is.
Okay, so the store owner will say to you that the Hammerworks is a district of the town off to the west. You need to pass Aspen Hall and look for the smoke and the ringing of hammers beating on metal.
I'll thank the man and pass him a silver coin.
He will thank you and wish you a nice day. It's quite weird because everybody else has been like horrible to you as a person. Okay, so in front of you, you'll see a large statue, and the inscription on it will denote it as Lord Asker, Liberator of Borsk.
Liberator of Borsk.
Borsk.
Liberator.
yeah. That's some imperial language. That. Can we see from here? Can we see the smoke out of?
Yes. So ahead of you, you can see Aspen Hall, which is a rather grand-looking fortified manor house. And it's got several. It's got like these ornamental grounds it's set in, and from what you can see, they're open to the public because people are sort of like taking it as a shortcut through. Behind it, you can see what looks to be an amphitheater of sorts, and like smoke rising from several chimneys, and there's like a bit of a haze that hangs over that entire area behind the behind the manor house. So you kind of you figure that that's probably where you need to go.
Okay, that is where we go.
Shall we take a shortcut through the gardens?
Suppose so. I don't see why not.
Well,
Those
it's
were
got-
some nice gardens, man.
Ooh,
Very-
that's nice.
Very ornamental.
Okay. So as you come out of the gardens, you've got the amphitheatre on your right. You can see what appears to be a fort or something, almost directly west of you, up here.
Okay.
And you can see smoke just rising from the district to the west.
I guess we'll head into the district to the west.
Yeah, do we see signs of stuff
Uh,
in the square to the south of it?
Yeah, so in that square you would see all the signs of a festival underway. So there's like pavilions and tents and like bunting and stuff like that, and there's like music flowing out.
That will be that festival. Do we want to go that way or avoid it entirely?
No, we came here to see the festival. May as well see it on its last day. Plus,
Okay,
we could find something interesting.
that's true.
Maybe we should visit the docks and actually look for a ship.
All in good time.
Secondary.
Nothing, I imagine with the festival, nothing will be leaving till tomorrow anyway. They will, the vast majority.
With everybody distracted by the festival, it might be a good time to book.
That is not a horrible idea. What do the rest of you think?
Yeah, if you want to. I just want to have a quick look around here. It's been a while.
So we can always cut through the hammerworks and then head to the docks.
Yeah, I say hammerworks first and then go up.
Okay. Democracy rules.
That's fine with me. Yeah.
What's democracy?
It is a concept that the Stormlord is a patron of. It is basically means where everyone is equal and everyone gets a say.
Then what makes him
I'd just
a
like to
lord?
point out that that is not democracy, that is communism.
Yeah, I know.
That's not communism.
I would like to point out to you that Ulfa has an intelligence of 9.
No, you're right, Peter, it's
I'm not sure
socialism.
you can tell the difference.
I would also like to point out that that doesn't mean he's a Storm Lord. He should be equal.
It is not as simple as that. He is.
So everyone's equal, but some people are more equal than others.
He's also,
Oh, we're back to communism again.
he's also not a person, is he? He's
Yeah,
not.
but you misunderstand. He is not a person. The Stormlord lives in the hearts of every living person. He is all of us. He is not. He is not one man. He is.
Sure, I live in the hearts of a few lovely women, but that doesn't make me a god.
There you go.
Yes, that's why it's a few, not every.
Well, the Storm Lord doesn't live in my heart, so he doesn't live in everyone's heart.
He does. He lives in you. He lives in you now, and I like wink where I touch you on the head.
Turn to
Make a
Laura.
religion check, Kassar.
Damn it!
You do feel changed, and not just from the curse being lifted. Like, there's something that Ulfar said that, just like, I don't know, hangs in your mind.
He lives in you. He lives in me.
Well, I feel like it's some sort of STD.
Well, it did tingle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And burn a little.
Alright. Well, I feel the small tingle. I'm like, well, enough of this nonsense. Let's head into the Maker Square, because I have not believed in a god for some time, and it would be weird for me as a concept
Right. Okay. I'll stop knocking in the back and look into the square and see what it's got to offer.
So you will see all manner of pavilions. There is a stage off to one side. There is a band playing, and people seem to be having a jolly good time. Now there are what they're called stalls selling alcohol, food, and that sort of thing. They also seem to be on the stage. Like people seem to be like unveiling things and talking through their inventions. And from what you can tell, there is a number of judges sat just in front of the stages, and they're kind of like marking them.
Do we overhear any specific thing? So what kind of inventions are on stage? Like when we stroll through, what's the guy on stage talking about?
So he's unveiled what appears to be a winged suit. And he's sort of explaining that with this that you can fly. Although when he's pushed on it, he changes the word fly to glide. After him, there seems to be somebody who's making like little clockwork soldiers, and there's like a little clockwork soldiers like marching band that comes onto the stage with him. They're probably about, I don't know, a foot high each soldier.
Nudge the person standing next to me. Well, they're not as scary as your Vigs.
Yeah.
My guards are not scary, thank you. Will emanate from Critel's wrist. The protectors are there for the good of the city.
They're a lot more scary than these tin men.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to protect, sometimes it is necessary to be feared. Ah, the hand of God.
That was a really big hand.
Ah!
Yes.
Alright.
and this goes on with like, you know, some seem like, yeah, okay, that might have its uses. Like there's one like somebody who's got like a self-lighting tinderbox, for example, and there've others that just seem to be like purely ornamental or even crazy. So like somebody with like a marble statue that they've made, somebody with some nice cloth. There's somebody that's essentially like trying to convince people that these are like horseshoes but for people. And this will go on for as long as you can tell.
Yeah, so it's impressive but not necessarily of great utility, most of these things. I will.
Some of it definitely has uses. They might be very edge case uses.
Because of the things that are coming on stage, they don't really have much use for you. I'll say to the others, I've got some business in the Hamworks. I'm looking for something very specific. So, shall we say give it about an hour and meet back here in the Maker's Square?
Well, I want to head over to the Hammerworks anyway. I'm looking to see if someone can make me like a better shield or a decent set of armor.
Yes, I'm going to go visit someone who could possibly look at crafting some lenses for me. So I think we'll be heading somewhere different. So shall we meet back here?
Yeah, I think all of us wanted to look at Hammerworks. We'll head that way, and yes, should we get split up, back here.
So there is a statue in the Maker's Square. It seems to be a statue of Moradin. So that is like as good a place as any if you wanted to meet up. That is sort of like the Sir Bobby Moore statue.
Yeah.
Alright. So I'll say to Clark, back here, yes? And I'll point at the statue. Say back here, 1 hour.
I'll nod.
I'll say good, and I'll clap him on the arm. Say make sure to remember your bonnet. I'll make my way into the Hammerworks.
Okay. So there's a number of different stalls and craftsmen set in this district, and you can quite quickly find somebody who will specialise in shields, somebody who specialises in armour, somebody who specialises in weapons, and you'll find a glass blower, Kassar, who might be able to help you.
Okay. I'll go to glass bar. I'll just pick it.
Okay.
Have I entered or am I?
You can certainly enter if you want.
Yeah, let's
Yes.
do you first, and then
I'll enter and look for the shopkeep.
So, just 2 seconds. Yeah, sorry. So, you'll find this. What did I say? What's the glassworks?
Yes.
And it's called Pilkingtons. And inside you will find, first of all, you'll notice the heat from the furnace is the first thing that hits you. It's like walking into, essentially, it's like stepping off a plane in a hot country. It's like this wall of heat that just hits you.
Yeah.
And,
I'll take off my winter's cloak and put it into my backpack.
yeah, and there seems to be, so there's a couple of dwarfs working the furnace, and then there is what appears to be a gnome with thick, dark tinted goggles, sculpting what appears to be some ornamental glass next to the furnace.
I'll approach the gnome and say, "Greetings, sir. I
Yeah,
have
so
a
this gnome's
request
sort of
that-
like blowing into this glass as you speak to them. But he
Okay,
sort of looks up and acknowledges you for a second.
I'll give you a moment until you're finished."
He
And
nods
I'll
and
wait
continues. And you can see he's sort of like twisting and turning this piece of glass. And it makes like a... It sort of makes it into what would be like a pine cone shaped piece of glass.
Mhm.
And then once it's cooled enough to handle, he'll take it off the edge and just set it to one side and say, "Yes, yes, welcome, welcome. I am Mr. Pilkington. Can I help you?"
Good afternoon, Mr. Pilkington. I have a request in the spirit of the Makers' Day festival that we're all currently enjoying.
Oh, I don't believe in any of that old rubbish. I don't need one day to make anything special. I make things special every day.
Well, I'm new in town today, and I was looking for someone who could make something special for me, possibly, and I'm willing to pay for it.
Oh, yes.
Uh,
And he
I've
strokes
got
a little wispy beard he's got.
I've got a little mask I wear here when I go out hunting and whatnot, but the problem is, being a human and all, I can't really see in low light and dim light, which is when a lot of animals come out to forage and to eat. So, to aid in my hunting and gathering of felts and pelts and furs and the rest, I was hoping that you might be able to make me some lenses for dim light.
That's interesting.
You certainly seem like a gnome who'd be up for the challenge.
Yes, yes, and I think I could help you. I really do. It's better you speak to me rather than those damn centaur. Like, don't believe any of their nonsense about enhancements. They all come at a cost.
See, I trust gnomes more than I do centaur.
Yes, well, of course, we're a bit more crafty, aren't we?
The original tinkerers.
Yes. And this seems to please him. So I believe I could fashion such an item.
I'll pull the dread mask that I already have out of my backpack and sort of hand it over to him and say, "This is the item in particular.
Mhm.
Do you reckon you could fashion in lenses for me?"
He will pull out his little like looking glass and start to sort of look at it and say, yes, it should be possible. It's not easy. It'll cost a great deal. It needs to be very powerful enchantment. It will. The glass itself will need to be powerful enough to hold the enchantment.
What sort of cost are you looking for?
For the eyes and lenses, 1,000 gold each, and then you'd have to find somebody to do the enchantment. Of course, I could help you with that. There is somebody I know at St. Bray's. They're a weird bunch, but if you know the right person, you might be able to get what you need.
Alright, well, I've got 1,000 gold on me. But is there any way we could do a deal for both lenses?
I'm listening.
Well, I've got 1,000 gold, but unfortunately I don't have much more than that. So if there's anything I could possibly do for you, or any favors that you might ask, then I'd be more than willing to help you out.
I don't have much coal for a hunter. This pays quite well. I just go to the market, you see.
Right. Well, there must be something you need help with.
He sort of like looks at you again and sort of says, unless you've got some hidden talents that might be of use, but I really don't know what.
Well, I've been known to be a man of many talents.
He says,
Flirt with the gnome. Flirt with the gnome.
he again look at you and go, I suppose if you're buying 2 of these, I could give you a small discount, but I couldn't take any less than 1,800 gold. It's very, very skilled work, and you'll not find anybody else in the city who can do it.
But you will.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, I only have the 1,000 gold, so I'll if I manage to come into any more money while I'm in the city, I'll come back to you.
Yes, now, do you remember that this is a speciality item and it will take time?
Of course, that's understood.
Okay. Now, unless there's anything else, I've got to finish these damn pine cones.
That's everything. Thank you for your help, Mr. Pilkington.
Farewell.
Farewell.
And that is the extent of the voices you will be getting tonight.
I was thinking, wow, David's really committing to the voice tonight.
Yes. Now I'm done. Okay. So, while Kassar is in Pilkington's, the rest of you will continue looking for your stuff. So you will find a shop that just it's noted as the Arsenal, and there is several different like armor smiths. So there's like so and so armor and shields, like armory, leather and chain, those sorts of like names, and you can just pick one. But it seems to be like there's definitely more of a selection of blacksmiths and armor smiths and weaponsmiths than there is anything else here. There is also like sort of more simpler crafts like leather makers, etc.
I will go for whatever one looks like it makes shields.
Okay, so presuming that you are a simple man, Critel, you will make a beeline for the first one that's got shield in its name. And you will find a shop that is called, funny enough, Hack Shields. Hack Shield Shields.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you go inside?
Yes.
Okay. So, in the black in the sort of the shield maker's shop, you will see it's quite small, it's quite narrow, but the wall is like laden with different types of shields. Some that are sort of mainly wooden. There's a couple of wicker shields, iron, steel. There's also a couple that do not seem to be made out of what you would deem to be common materials.
Would I have any idea what they were?
Well, there's one that seems to be made out of copper, which is a bit unusual. Because it's quite a malleable thing, but you've got to like just brush past that. There is one that seems to be made of a sort of a dark-looking alloy, but it doesn't like its name doesn't spring to mind. So it's got a sort of a purple gleam to it as well as you sort of walk past it. It's a bit iridescent.
Okay, and do I see the proprietor?
You'll see sort of like on a stool at the back of the shop, smoking a pipe, watching you from the shadow, a dwarf with a beard that stretches down to his ankles.
Okay, as I actually speak Dwarvish, I will say to him in his native tongue, good day, I was looking to see if you had any special type of shields or anything like that.
He will sort of like, "Huh," and like gesture to the wall that is just laden with shields.
I mean, like magical or something with a effect or anything like that.
He'll raise an eyebrow. Magical. This isn't a wizard shop. If you're after a fine shield, you will find one here. If you're after a magical shield, go and see a wizard. Trouble me not.
Can I ask what the dark iridescent shield is?
Ah, some of my finest work. That is dark steel.
I've not really heard of that.
No, you
what
wouldn't have. It's a
properties does it
dwarf's
have?
secret. It's like steel, only it can store energy within it. Very potent, very special, very expensive.
By store energy, what do you mean? Like if someone throws a firebolt at you, you can absorb it, or?
No, electrical energy, like lightning from the heavens.
Or a certain cleric. He's just like, yeah, just stand there and hold your shield up, Kratel.
I'm not turning into a lightning rod.
Calling you Thor and Captain America, aren't we? Oh no, is it the Iron Man and Captain America?
So, what can you do with the stored lightning?
Well, you hit somebody with it, of course. Give him a nasty shock. He takes a long drag from his pipe.
This thing sounds cool.
And how expensive is it?
Very expensive.
And what's that translate into actual coin?
He will and ah and say, and you can sort of see he's trying to work out how big a coin pouch you've got.
Which wouldn't be visible. It would
No.
actually be in my pack.
He's trying to just like weigh you up essentially.
Yeah, see how rich you look.
That's what most people would do. You would say 800 gold.
Oh, that's not crazy. Much more money than I've got. But...
I mean, the strangest part is I can actually afford that.
Yeah.
You'll say if you want something a little more of your price range, I'm sure we can like turn over a barrel and we'll fasten something to the lid and you could use that.
What a bitch.
Yeah, no, I already have a shield. I was just looking for something a little more special.
And he can sort of like he's looking at you and sort of like worries if you can sort of see the cogs turn over in his mind as to whether he's sort of priced himself out of a sale. And he says, "Well, if 800's too much for you, if you've got some material, we could always make one for you."
Unfortunately, I'm not carrying any bars. I did once have some cold iron, but I sold.
Horrible material. Not nice to work with. Can't even heat it. I mean, what's the point?
Good for dealing with elves.
And a few other things, mind you, as well. Not just elves. Fiends and undead as well. Yeah, sort of like give you like a knowing nod and puffs on his pipe again.
I have many tools for dealing with demons and undead.
Can never have too many tools. A young kobold once told me that.
I will think on the shield, and I will come back.
Okay. Well, don't leave it too long. I might sell it while you're gone.
It will most likely be today if I come back.
Good.
Yeah, good day.
Good day.
And on that, I will leave.
Okay. So I think we'll switch to Duvar because I think Clux just had to take a call by judging off the chat.
Divar's not looking for anything.
No, I thought you were after a spare.
Yeah, but then he realised he was probably being watched by his likeness being probably shared around, and him buying a weapon ain't probably a good idea.
Fair enough. Okay. So Kazar, you'll sort of like come out and you'll see. Ulfa, have you been into a shop yet?
No, I'm looking
No.
for someone that makes plate mail.
Okay, so before Kassan and Kretel come out of a shop, you can find. Let's see. What do we say? You can find. Quickly pull a name off my list. Remora's Leather and Chain.
Okay. Just gonna write.
That is not the name of a brothel.
Whether it is or isn't, all fuzz going inside. Okay. What do I see once I'm inside?
You see what looks to be like an armorer's shop. There's several pieces of like helm, shield, bracers, that sort of thing, and a couple of like mannequins that are empty.
Is there how just the one person inside?
It's too hard having too many NPCs inside of shop.
No worries. I come in and I'll say, good day. Might I borrow you for a second?
I suppose so, she will say to you.
My name is Ulfa, and your name is?
Remora. Of
Remora,
Remora's
of
Leather
course.
and Chain.
Of course. How stupid of me. I'm not the brightest man. I happen to be in possession of a set of plate armor. However, it is not built to fit for me. It was made for a larger man. I wondered if I might do some sort of trade with it for you for a set that might actually fit me properly. If that's something that you would do, or if you have any suggestions of an alternative that's equally hardy that you might make for me or have in your
Well,
shop.
let's see. If you're after like armor, then it'll have to be made for you, of course. But
Yes,
let's see what you've got.
I will lay out my plate armor suit.
Your
on the
battered
side.
plate armor suit, and she will sort of tap it with her hammer and say, "Iron, wrought
Yes.
iron, not particularly valuable, but not at all useless. And you want to take this off the price of a new suit of armor."
Yes, depending on the time it would take, I don't intend to be in the city for too long. Yes, I would just be interested to know what you have, what you might offer me that might be an equal replacement that fits to myself.
Says now, for something custom, it's going to take some time.
What sort of time are we looking at?
I'm just calculating because I've forgotten. I know I've worked it out before.
Yeah.
But it's like it's a percentage of the cost. I'm just trying to find the calculation. Base cost divided by the work rate times by the time.
Like a month.
Yeah, depending on the skill of the craftsman.
Yeah, so yeah, she will say it is sorry, I need to read this properly rather than just skimming.
Yeah.
Says suit of armor I could have ready in 10 days. If you're happy with iron, of course. If you want something something a bit more robust, there's obviously added complications in securing the necessary materials and they're much more difficult to work with, but you'll have a much nicer piece at the end of it.
I understand. I would very much like to, but I do not have the time, unfortunately, on this occasion. Do you have anything in store? Something, maybe a chain shirt of some sort of masterwork variety that might be equally serve the purpose, but not necessarily need to be made for me in specific? Like, what do you have made, if anything at all?
We have a number of bits of chain, and she would gesture to the back of the room where there's like coat hangers. It's definitely like the sort of like last season's armor, and
Yeah.
there's like hangers of different types of mail. All of it appears like iron or bronze, or generally like
Yeah.
it's not great quality.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I do not have the time to be made, and it does not seem like you have something that will serve me. I thank you very much for your time. If I'm ever longer in the city, I will hope to engage you in your services, and I'll pack my ramshackle bits of plate back into my pack,
Mhm.
and say goodbye.
She will wish you farewell. Okay, so as you all recongregate back on the street, there is another store nearby that I think you'll all be interested in looking at. It's called Abacus's Blades.
Okay, inside we go. What do you
Yep.
see?
So you will see a maybe a bit. There was a lot of robot noise from Mike.
It was.
I said if that includes me as well, then sure.
Yes, it does include you.
Okay.
Okay, so inside, you will see let's say, mostly an elf, mostly, and you'll see that he's missing an ear.
Interesting.
Yeah, like, welcome, gentlemen, welcome to Abacus's Blades.
Hello, sir.
I can see you've got a knife quality. If I don't have what you need, I'm sure I can make it.
That is good to hear. We have traveled very far and seen a lot of things. What do you have that you have made that we might be interested in that would stand out from the rest?
I have, normal, mundane, boring type of things, but you do not look like the sort of person that wants off the rack.
This is true. Although I'm not sure I have the time for something special to be made.
Time, we all do not have enough time, but true perfection is worth waiting for, my friend. Now tell me, what is it you're after? What does your heart desire? The finest bladesmith this side of the sea.
What do I want? What do you guys want?
Swords, spears, maybe something a more exotic glaive, a halberd. Why settle for one? Why not have two weapons?
Do
You,
you
sir,
have
and he'll point at
anything-
you, Kasar, and he'll say, I can see you in a nice silver rapier.
I'm not an up close and personal kind of guy, unless you sell bows. Probably not.
No, nobody wants to be up close and personal, but if you have to be, why not have a fine silver rapier at your side?
I'll pull out one of my dragon daggers. and I'll
Yeah,
say, this is my current weapon of choice.
that is not a blade. That is a crude instrument plucked from the mouth of a beast.
It does a very good job.
Does it though? Well, if you're happy settling for the mundane, I suppose. Each to their own, and he will turn to Cluck and Cattell now. You two seem like you know a good weapon when you see it.
Do you have anything that you've already made that's a little more specialist? Like,
No, he will cut you off and say, nothing I have lying around is special enough for you.
Oh, you flat.
what have you currently got that is of
Sounds
high
busted.
quality?
Oh, just some bits and pieces. I normally make them for the guards. They do not. They are not worthy of you. You need something special. You need a fine warhammer.
More of a blade.
A blade. What sort of length?
I will. Long sword kind of length, preferably.
Yes, that would do nicely. Material.
What have you got?
It says, I have iron. You don't want iron. I have steel. Don't deal with cold iron. Terrible material. Horrible to work with. Mithril, perhaps. It's a bit hard to come by these days, but I'm sure there's some that can be acquired from somewhere. Or if you're feeling really exotic, we could look at Quicksilver. Yes. It's a bit off-putting to use a Quicksilver weapon. Once you learn how to use it, it is a lethality that you cannot imagine.
Wouldn't Quicksilver be a bit soft?
No, that's the beauty of it. It's the inner point of the blade is hollow, and you use that Quicksilver as you swing it. The tip of the blade gains more weight until it hits your target. Nasty weapons, but difficult to use. Difficult to make as well, expensive. You look like you're not doing too bad. Am I right?
What do you class as expensive?
I'm just working it out. Stand by.
Ulfar thinks this guy's just a shameless salesman, and while the intention is on someone else, he leaves.
That's fair. You will say, I should have worked out the prices of all this shit before I started, really.
Yep.
You'll say, 3,000 gold.
Jesus, what the hell's the stats on one of those?
So in because you need it to make an informed choice, but in game terms, a quicksilver weapon, you wouldn't be proficient in it unless you're used to weapons that change weight as you use them. But on a crit, you get an additional die of damage along with the crit damage, so it would become a 2d8 plus 8 weapon on a crit.
If it's only on a crit, that's not really worth it for me.
Perhaps not, but for somebody like a barbarian with critical dice, more critical dice.
Yeah, and if they were a half orc as well with an
Mhm.
extra one.
Yep. He's not trying to sell you the cheap stuff, Critel. He's trying to sell you the best stuff. He says, "Yes, I can see in your eyes. It's expensive, but trust me, once you've learned how to use one of these weapons, you won't want to touch anything else."
Oh, I wish Ulfar was in there now because he would just like pull out his like javelin of lightning and go, I don't know, there are better things. But he's not there. So.
I'm just looking for something a little special, not over the top, but just something a little above the norm.
Okay, then let's start with material. What are you thinking?
What's the properties of mithril?
Ah, mithril. Mithril's expensive, but mithril is good. For weapons, it's light. It's exceptionally light. If it's in mechanics terms, if it isn't heavy, it becomes light. If it's already light, it becomes a finesse weapon. If it's two-handed, it becomes versatile.
Yeah, so you could carry like a greatsword in one hand, effectively.
Yes.
But what would the one-hand damage be on a greatsword that was myth?
So it would. What's a great sword at the moment? D12? Or is it 2d6?
2d6.
Yeah,
2d6.
2d6. So, and a longsword's like 1d8, 1d10, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
2d5. It's fair, right?
Yeah, I think. Not bad.
That's when used one-handed.
Yeah.
And-
D5's a bit an odd one to use. I mean, we have D10.
Yeah, but like a great axe would be a d10 for one-handed. It's like the swords are 2d6, aren't they?
Yeah.
So sticking with that, yes, it's a bit of a weird dice, but I'm sure the system can handle it.
Yeah, do it. All right. What would be the?
Don't roll force.
Yeah. What would be the cost in making a sword out of mithril?
Okay, so mithril will be rare. So provided you provide the material, it would be 240 gold for the labour.
And the material would be ludicrous cost.
Which means I now have to find mithril.
Yeah, generally, like if you can source the material, it's quite good now. Generally, like if somebody's selling it, it's going to be expensive. But most like anything above rare in material, mithril sits into rare. You kind of like it, like you're better off looking out for it on a quest.
Yeah.
So that's like stuff like mithril, adamantite, and stuff like that. You can generally find it for sale, but it's going to be expensive.
Yeah, although if I was going to use mithril for anything, I'd probably go with the armor side, and then if I could find adamantite, I'd use that for the weapon, for obvious reasons.
Yes.
Why not the other way around? Adamantine armor makes you crit immune.
Yeah, but the weapon makes you crit every hit.
If it's an object.
I thought it was against like humanoids.
No, it's a crit. Yeah, it sounds really good, but if you read it, it's adamantine crit. If you hit an object, it's a critical.
So I suppose that would count if you cast hold person on a person, but then it would be a critical anyway. So yeah, so it doesn't.
Yeah, whenever an adamant weapon hits an object, the hit is a critical. So it's not that great for weapons. But we get sidetracked. So yeah, if you can find materials, generally it's going to be cheaper than buying. There is also like when you commission a weapon, as the smith makes it, there's a number of checks over a number of days, and depending on what the average is, you can end up with something like that's ruined, in which case you don't pay for it, or you can end up with something that like essentially the quality goes from ruined to masterwork. And yeah, the better it is, the sort of like the more stats it will have. And it will become like a +1 or a +2 or whatever.
All right.
Well, I don't think as far as I'm picking up, I don't think anybody's buying anything today.
Okay,
No.
that's fine. Well, we're probably at
I need to make some money.
a suitable place to stop anyway. We've gone a little bit over, but we did start a bit later. But what I'll do is I'll share with you all the calculations on how like crafting time and speed and like the stuff that goes into it, so you can make a more informed choice. But essentially, from this point on, unless it's most shops are only going to sell like rudimentary stuff, because generally like
Yeah,
they're not going to have the best stuff sat there just in case some adventurer comes in and wants to buy it.
no.
So it's going to be you're going to have to commission objects, but then there's a chance that if you find a good enough smith, they have a much higher chance of mastercrafting it, and you get a much better object for the price that you've already agreed.
Yeah.
And then if they make a hash of it, you can just not pay them.
About right.
It's fair, right? If they make you a shoddy like spear, you're not gonna be like, I don't want that. You might lose your deposit on it, but like it's gonna be a fraction of what it was. Like the deposit is probably
Lose the
what it worth.
materials, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, if it's materials you've sourced, you could have them try and reforge it and do a better job, but you'll start losing more and more materials. But anyway, I'm starting to wrap it. We will end there. So thank you if you're still watching 5 people pretend to go shopping in a fantasy world. It is something we're not allowed to do at the moment, as has been pointed out. And we'll be back next Monday at 6:30 UTC. That's 7:30 GMT or 8:30 CST. Sorry, CST CET, so Central European Time. That's it from me. Other than again say we're now using FoundryVTT. It's a much better system than Roll20. You should definitely check it out. Over to you guys, really.
Come back
We will
next week
try
for
and go
more
on a
shopping.
Somewhere interesting.
Shopping it will be.
See you later.
Cheers, everyone.
Considering the price of things, a lot of thievery.